One look closely at his body, it is completely covered in cursed runes and horrific battle scars. Yet his own party treats him like literal trash, born to a powerful noble household. Labeled a complete failure, he has only one job, to soak up all the curses. And heavy wounds from the world's elite hero squad. Now, the silver-haired princess snaps. Demanding he strip another curse off the blonde leader, Crash submits, his dark arts rip. Burning poison straight out of the hero's veins, pulling it into his own. Broken flesh, he takes their suffering, but none of them ever spare him a single glance. All this happens while a massive skeleton boss towers above, ready to obliterate humanity forever. But watch closely, the battle halts. The hero isn't even trying. He looks completely bored and sighs that the world is finished. Then he drops the bomb. His true ability is regression. He is opening a massive portal to the past for his group, leaving Crash behind to get torn apart by the monster. Crash begs for a hand. The hero just smiles, ice cold, and drives a cruel truth deep into his chest. Crash was never a real comrade. He was just a tool to use up, throw away, and easily replace with a brand new version in the next loop. And it is not just the hero. Every person in that squad owes him a massive debt written in blood. Abela, the Tower Witch, begged him to absorb her heavy curses so she could keep casting. And when Crash was literally rotting alive and tried to find medicine to ease his agony, she turned and struck him. Mary Diana, the Empire's elite knight, made his academy days an absolute nightmare. She beat him, mocked his Valheim family, and called him a fraud, knowing he was too weak to defend himself. Sigrun, the royal leader who ordered him around, actively protected the backstabbing hero. Without a single thought, they abandoned him. Crash actually lost an eye for these cowards, receiving only complete disgust and silence. A tide of raw fury ignites inside him as the sheer weight of their betrayal hits. All his pain meant absolutely nothing, refusing to be discarded like worthless trash. He drags his ruined body forward and shoots his black energy, not at a sickness this time, but directly at Arthur's temporal magic. The dark power charges, forming a massive shadow hand that wraps around the hero. Crash braces for resistance, but there is none. Arthur did not actually care about keeping that gift. To him, looping through the end times was torture. Crash suddenly understands. The hero did not just abandon him, he dumped the very curse he hated onto him and used Crash as a garbage disposal. It was one last cruel chore, but he will not stop. Crash forcibly tears the regression spell apart as the massive scythe cuts down reality itself. Then pure silence, warm sunlight, and birds. Crash opens his eyes. There are no bodies or ash, just a comfortable bed. He runs to the mirror and stares at his 10-year-old self, untouched, clean, and safe. The temporal jump worked. That legendary regression power is completely his now. But this time, the disposable tool remembers every single betrayal. He will never serve as a puppet again. The world erosion is a force that slowly eats away at the earth, dragging lands into dark alternative dimensions. Severe structural changes follow, growing vastly worse after every single wave. In the quiet gaps, strange humanoid beings emerge. They are the terrifying invaders of worlds, spreading absolute chaos the second they cross over. Fleeing in panic, villagers watch as invaders lay waste to their homes. Yet, some refuse to yield. They fight. Knights and powerful mages stand together, locking blades with the monstrous invaders. They are known to all as the Blue Generation. Even the hero destined to seal curses joined them, only to be betrayed. Treated like garbage, Crash lived a miserable life. But his nightmare ends when he suddenly wakes up in the past, aged 13. He gasps, regression magic worked. Back in his old room, he trades freezing death for summer warmth. His crazy gamble worked. He is back at Green Pine Manor. Lord Arthur's power belongs to him now. How could he possibly steal Arthur's regression? Normally, the Black Hood's power operates with zero restrictions. But there is a catch, a big one. The thief must unlock a spiritual lock that appears upon activation. Its strength matches the target's attachment to the item. A massive hurdle for an ability that could steal 99% of worldly wealth. An absurdly broken, priceless power. Its insane value comes with these brutal conditions. Crash knows the rule. Valuable targets mean complex locks. So what was Arthur thinking? Because during the theft, nothing appeared. Absolutely no lock appeared. This meant only one thing. Arthur desperately wanted to get rid of his own regression power. The great king of heroes abandoned his legendary gift. Crash remembers now. He had been acting pretty strange lately. His face was always masked in deep, hollow exhaustion. Endless disasters slowly drove him to absolute madness. To Arthur, regression was a curse. That is why he tried sending his comrades back first. He wanted them to keep their memories, leaving him behind to die. But this theft changed everything. The Arthur he knew lost his power and was stranded in that doomed world. Left behind, he was utterly crushed by the Death Knight's meteor. Arthur chose death to escape his cursed destiny. Crash chuckles. He hopes Lord Arthur is finally resting in peace. Even though Arthur always hated him. No one else wanted to absorb the world's deadly curses, after all. They ignored the quiet ally suffering in the shadows. Back then, grief and sheer exhaustion constantly drove him to tears. Now he realizes Arthur got exactly what a piece of trash deserved. Back at Green Pine Manor, his body is tiny. Only 10 years old. Yet his reflection shows surprisingly lean, hard muscle. The result of swinging a sword daily to survive the Valheim family. They are the strongest clan in the kingdom of Starlam, and his presence proves that the brutal trial ceremony has already passed. It is the sacred ritual where contracted gods reveal each person's true power. The godly rank matches contractor worth. He, however, was the ultimate exception. Born into the legendary Valheim lineage, he had absolutely zero martial talent. Rejected by every single deity, they banish him from the main estate immediately. He goes to the Green Pine Mansion, a graveyard for family failures. But here is the catch: this disgraced black sheep holds a massive secret. He remembers the impending apocalypse, a global doom that nobody is prepared for. Even the most elite generation cannot prevent it, can he? Can he truly stop the utter annihilation of everything he knows? Reborn as his younger self, Crash Valheim throws a determined, fiery punch. He swears not to waste time crying. Saving the future will be incredibly difficult. But Crash is fiercely motivated and tells himself he absolutely must succeed. If the world burns, he dies right along with it. Survival is his only option. He immediately begins plotting his very first move to rewrite the future. Right then, his loyal butler, Elliot, steps forward to attend to him. Crash is filled with sheer joy just seeing that old Elliot is still breathing. As the manor's lone servant, the old man warmly asks if he needs anything. Elliot was the only person who ever truly cared for the young master. But a deadly toxin from his own brother is meant to target this butler. It is a cruel betrayal set for his 14-year-old self, elsewhere a young girl. Tears through a horde of deadly enemies with one blindingly fast stroke. The seasoned knights watch in total disbelief as a 15-year-old disarms them all. She is the legendary sword saint, Charlotte Valheim, who happens to be Crash's sister. Her unmatched talent is a divine miracle that only occurs once every millennium. They know her incredible lineage guarantees the family's greatness will never fade. But the man observing this is none other than Bianca, Crash's half-brother. He secretly plots to wipe out their entire bloodline for good. To him, even Charlotte is a massive threat to be handled. Soon, their dark discussion shifts over to the family's biggest disappointment. Now the plotting begins. Bianca schemes to eliminate Crash once and for all. He details this sinister plan to old Elliot, exploiting the servant's ruined past. Was ruined because of Crash, giving him a reason to kill. Bianca proposes that Elliot poison the boy, promising he will no longer have to worry about his daughter's expensive medical bills. The butler, however, hesitates, having raised the young master like his very own flesh and blood. Seeing his doubt, the ruthless half-brother quickly corners him with another point, asking if he would really choose to save someone else's child over the precious life of his own biological daughter. This agonizing choice forces the old butler Elliot to make a devastating decision. He cannot prioritize Crash over his family, yet in the original timeline, things went differently. The young Crash was left trembling in terror, weeping over the fallen butler. Elliot lay coughing up blood, desperately apologizing to his beloved young master. He confessed that his original mission was to end the boy's life. Even so, he loved Crash deeply, viewing him as a true son. So in his final moments, he chose to die for him. Crash is shattered. Driven by guilt over his butler's death, Elliot eats the poisoned steak in Crash's place. He uses the exact poison his brother gave him for the job. Suddenly, Crash walks up. He directly asks the old butler when he plans on taking that poison himself. Elliot freezes in shock. Crash clearly knows about the scheme to poison him just to save the butler's daughter. Crash warns that the truth always comes to light. He hates forcing impossible choices on people. So he demands that Elliot stop playing dumb and drop the act immediately. Crash knows this poison order only came down because everyone sees him as a total failure. Butler expected the young master to explode in anger or sink into deep betrayal. But the young master's calm reaction is nothing like what Elliot anticipated. It catches him completely off guard. Crash simply tells the butler to follow him right now. They head straight for the library, where Elliot assumes the boy just wants to study. Instead, the young master orders his servant to slice right through the library wall. He says it should be easy since Elliot serves the elite Valheim family. Elliot steps forward. Butler readies himself and draws his sword, letting his magical energy flare. He stands prepared for whatever might happen next, then unleashes a swift, heavy slash. A massive gale of wind erupts from the strike, completely tearing right through the solid wall. The cut is clean and flawless, revealing a hidden passage that shocks the old butler. He watches the young master step inside, noticing something deeply unsettling about him. And honestly, the shift is wild. Crash has completely transformed into a true noble lord. As the young man looks around the hidden chamber, old memories start flooding back. In his past life, this room was reduced to ashes, but this time, he arrived early. He beat the flames. Watching this, Elliot asks if he should cut the door chains. Elliot asks if he wants the heavy chains on the door cut, but Crash refuses. He says the butler cannot do it, opting to test his black hood power instead. Swirling shadows creep toward the lock on the door and begin to corrode it. The spell eats through the metal until the heavy chains snap and fall away. Elliot stands frozen, absolutely stunned by the terrifying magical display. Crash takes off the lock, prompting Elliot to ask if he contracted with a god. In this timeline, Crash has not actually made that divine contract yet, but he plays along. He tells the old butler that he merely made a deal with some minor deity. Elliot is baffled when Crash instructs him to report this library incident to his father. Just yesterday, the young master's eyes were completely lifeless and hollow. Now everything has turned upside down thanks to this mysterious god. Elliot realizes the boy has unlocked some truly monstrous power. He remembers that Crash shares the same bloodline as his sister. She is known as the greatest genius of the Valheim household. Even if Crash cannot reach Charlotte's height, he could still become incredibly strong. Determined to understand the boy's sudden growth, Elliot makes his choice. He promises Crash that he will keep this entire secret library trip to himself. This shows Crash a major side effect of returning to the past. The version of Elliot who betrayed him now only exists in his past memories. Crash then thinks about Arthur's suffering and how to dismantle that tragic fate. To secure the butler's absolute loyalty, he plans to cure his daughter's illness. Saving her will turn Elliot into a powerful pawn for his new life. That rude attitude is just a mask, a calculated play until the moment he cures. The butler's daughter, right now though, this secret library is his absolute priority, as he swings the doors open, a blinding purple glow floods his eyes. The shock is sudden and his eyes widen in complete shock, an intense beam of magic bursts through the door, making him flinch. A sudden chill runs through his body, even for a guy who has survived countless curses on his journey. In this exact moment, there is zero doubt. The book he wants is right here. His gaze locks onto a brilliant glow coming from one of the shelves, and finally he lays hands on the book he has been hunting for so long. Inside these pages, the disgraced ancestors of the Valheim family recorded their own deadly techniques and raw memories. This is a monument to human struggle where they hid the dark secrets needed to reach absolute power. At first, anyone could enter, but everything was locked away because of just one man, the legendary Demaris Valheim. He was known as the biggest failure in Valheim history, yet he was also the one who embraced the world's erosion and became the strongest of them all. And honestly, that terrifying smile says it all. Now the very book written by this legendary black sheep is in Crash's hands. The tale of Demaris, the family's absolute disgrace, begins to unfold, yet he was the most powerful warrior the Valheims had ever seen, at his absolute peak. The greatest champions of that age dared to challenge him. With monstrous clawed hands and massive fangs, he conjured devastating spheres of pure energy. Nobody was capable of halting the pure terror of Demaris Valheim, anyone who stood against him Met a grim death, extreme blood immersion venom, that was his legendary ability. He welcomed the world's rot directly into his veins, gaining an insane secret weapon to unleash that power. Half of these pages are charred, suggesting Demaris lost his mind as the decay took over. Crash remembers his own brush with the curse of erosion, how he suppressed it with his black hood and offset it with other hexes. If this same logic applies to the devastation of the extreme blood immersion venom, and if he steals a curse to halt its spread, then he can seize the power of erosion just like Demaris did, but without losing his mind. By doing this, he can reach those same godlike levels. Confidence swells as this wild plan to control the venom and survive begins to feel real. Crash turns to his faithful butler Aliad, ordering him to bar everyone from entering the Green Pine Mansion. The butler bows and slips away. Aliad is determined to repay the young master's kindness, which is why he flatly rejects Balikin's offer. Balikin is absolutely furious at the rejection, especially when Aliad declares that his only true master is young Crash Valheim. Balikin seethes with pure rage, thinking of that family disgrace. Even Charlotte's genius makes his blood boil simply because her bloodline is a direct threat to his ambition. If not for her, he and Lish would still hold their rightful places in the direct family line. That bitter memory fuels his anger. He lets out a harsh shout, bringing his butler running to ask what is wrong. Balikin snaps, ordering him to the Green Pine Mansion to spy on young Crash. He demands answers on why Aliad flipped sides, but the butler warns him that entering the mansion is impossible. Aliad guards block the entry to everyone, even the head of the family himself. Balikin is outraged. He cannot believe they are blocking him from his own property. The older brother absolutely explodes in fury against his sibling, calling him an arrogant failure. Meanwhile, our hero meditates, releasing a massive surge of raw power. He realizes he has finally reached the experienced beginner level. There are several stages of aura. He is only in the very first. This is the user stage, which he has just learned to master. Next is the experienced level, where most users are. He is just starting. Charlotte, only 2 years older, is already an aura master, but his sister's terrifying power was not enough. In the end, she also failed. Her power could not stop the erosion, compared to his sister. Charlotte Valheim, he is still just a beginner. This realization makes him doubt if he can actually save the world at this rate. His older consciousness watches him, reminding him that he will only know the answer when he actually tries. He orders himself to stop whining, because before the regression he could not use aura at all. Now things are different. Even if he still cannot match his sister, he can still get stronger using the secret art, a legacy left by his family's failures. That is why Crash regains his confidence. He knows he can grow stronger and that it will be enough. Soon, his butler congratulates him for reaching the experienced beginner level. Crash responds quite modestly, saying it was nothing special. He then asks why the butler waited for his meditation too. And Elliot informs him that his fiancée, Bianca Hardened Hearts, has arrived at the Green Pine Mansion. Talk about an unexpected twist, especially since Bianca is known by fearsome nickname the White Demon. She was the leader who, as a pawn of the World Eaters, tried to destroy everything and earned that title by defeating the strongest Celestials. Right now she is just the youngest daughter of the Hardened Hearts family. Their marriage is a political arrangement. The Hardened Hearts rule the North, and the Valheims use this alliance to connect with a powerful martial family. Thus, these two children are mere instruments for their families. He has business with Bianca, but her visit is totally unexpected. Bianca is the youngest daughter of the Hardened Hearts, the rulers of the North, born right after her mother was taken by the curse of erosion. She carries the curse of the Snow Doll, a condition that left her completely devoid of emotion from birth. The curse struck her unbreakable soul and corrupted her body, preventing her from ever forming a contract with a god. She is treated as a cursed child, born in exchange for her mother's life. That is exactly why Bianca is treated so coldly by the Hardened Hearts family. He wonders if Bianca secretly hates him for some reason. As long as he does not steal her curse, there should be no reason for her to hate him. After all, the Snow Doll is necessary to control the fury of the extreme immersion poison in her blood. He decides to change his clothes to receive her, telling the butler to let her in so they can talk. 5 months earlier, Crash Valheim and the girl had a massive fight. he threw her out when he realized she only wanted the Valheim. Family's power. On that occasion, he demanded the pathetic girl stop. She pretended to be his wife, showing zero reaction, but that fight shook her to the core. This painful memory was why Bianca hated visiting the Green Pine Mansion. Her parents warned her their survival depended on winning over young Valheim. She wanted no part of this scheme, yet she had to go against her will. They told her straight up, the entire fate of the Harden Hearts family rested on her shoulders. If her family was going to force her into a marriage, why him? She certainly did not want to end up stuck with a pathetic loser like him. Though she kept her face blank, anxiety gnawed at her as they pulled up. In any normal world, she would have rejected a guy like him instantly. Crash walks out to greet her. The air feels heavy, but he surprises her. He acts incredibly kind, promising to reprimand the maid for serving hot tea to his fiancée. Bianca stays completely cold, showing no reaction to his sudden warmth. He casually comments on the weather, inviting her to walk among the garden flowers. Next, he orders the servants to bring out macadamia cookies for the two of them. He acknowledges her long travel, saying it is important they meet since marriage is ahead. He notes how formally she speaks, as if addressing a demanding boss, not her future husband. She quietly observes him. Something is very off about his behavior. He used to have a brutally sharp gaze, but now it is gone. Now he feels like an entirely different person, which deeply unnerves her. He looks around at the garden, smiling and mentioning how peaceful it is here. And honestly, who can blame her? Bianca asks if he is truly Crash Valheim. Silence falls as they lock eyes. He quickly suppresses his surprise. To avoid giving himself away, he scratches his head, searching for the right words. The young master smiles and asks if he really seems that different from before. Suddenly, a terrifying spike of murderous intent flares from his body. A dark aura wraps around him, forcing Bianca to quickly apologize for asking. He backs off, realizing he terrified her. His past memories are a jumbled mess anyway. He honestly cannot remember how he used to treat her back then. But looking at her blank face, he recognizes her signature, cold expression. It is the exact look she wore when he died at the Northern Sea Mansion. Trying to change the subject, he casually mentions making a contract with God. That explains it. The divine contract must have warped his personality. That is when he drops a new proposal. She immediately asks if he wants an annulment. Since he is connected to God now, she assumes he wants out of the marriage. Crash assumes she simply hates him, believing her push for annulment comes from low self-esteem. But when she hears his bizarre logic, she does not correct him. She does not deny it. Instead, she firmly claims her place by his side. She states she is his wife, and absolutely nothing is going to change that. Hearing her speak so honestly now catches him completely off guard. Steering the conversation back, he reveals the secret, godlike power he just unlocked. He declares his plan to steal Bianca's deadly curse and take it on himself. She is stunned. Why steal a curse that the greatest masters could never break? When she asks if he intends to face the curse alone, he confirms it readily. Still, she knows his reputation. He is the family failure, isolated from the main clan. A massive divide separates them, leaving her wondering what his true play is. He is completely exhausted with life, wanting to use her curse to erase his own emotions. Bianca quietly wonders if this is the so-called disease of the heart. After all, a wise maid once warned her, unlocking peak mental power inevitably triggers this exact terrifying mental sickness. Falling victim to it can easily drive a person to take their own life or completely change into a kind, unrecognizable stranger. It is a dangerous transition phase where sudden behavioral change is warned of a dark, imminent end. The mage insisted that if she ever crossed paths with such a soul, she should stay by their side, so Bianca gently takes Crash Valheim's hand and assures him that everything will be absolutely fine. He just needs to learn how to control his emotions without a curse. She promises to visit him regularly, maybe even moving in nearby, leaving him completely stunned since he honestly thought she despised him and rejected their marriage. Bianca softly replies that even if that were the case, she would never abandon someone in deep danger. He knows Bianca is the type to act instantly once her mind is finally made up, but she is completely misinterpreting the situation. He worries she will never surrender the curse, and because of that, he decides to activate his unique skill right this second. He then triggers the Black Hood's power, which manifests and swirls around the young girl. His hand reaches right through her body, beginning to siphon the dark curse from her. The unlocking condition flares to life, but something unexpected catches him off guard. Wait, get this, the first requirement actually forces him to become genuine friends with Bianca herself. Crash immediately realizes this is going to be a massive problem, since the curse is treated as part of her body, holding value from her birth. To unlock the final condition, he must become friends with the feared white demon, a task far more difficult than simply becoming her husband. If he sends her away now, it is only a matter of time before she fully transforms. Keeping her close is honestly his best option right now. Following Bianca's suggestion is the smartest path, and he welcomes the chance to meet his wife regularly. Then the young girl mentions she must first ask her father for permission to live near the hero. She bids him farewell, leaving Crash calculating that he has exactly 1 month before her return. He will use this time to devour every book on secret arts. But of course, the next day, inside the Green Pine Mansion, everything goes sideways. Bianca is back. Much to the hero's absolute shock, she proudly announces that she is moving into his mansion starting today, and that she expects him to take excellent care of her. The protagonist is completely stunned by the realization that they are cohabitating. Suddenly, the hero starts to wake up, slowly blinking his eyes open, before instantly noticing that she is sleeping right next to him. Did Bianca really decide to sneak into his bed? Again, he knows that if any visitor saw them in this position, they would completely misunderstand the situation. Right then, she wakes up, softly murmurs good morning, and asks what he is doing there. The hero asks her the exact same question. Later, he begins his usual lengthy meditation routine. As he pauses to reflect on everything, he realizes that several quiet months have already flown past since Bianca first moved in. He still remembers the day she suddenly arrived, declaring she would be staying with him right here in the Green Pine Mansion. When she was dumped in his care, the hero was completely blindsided. Apparently, she moved in because her family gave approval, without even consulting him first. He wondered if she would actually be. She had been sent far from her family when she was only 12, but without any emotions. Family affection completely vanishes, leaving her totally indifferent. For Crash, this cold distance was the perfect chance to earn her trust. That way, he can fulfill the condition to steal her curse before winter arrives. Almost 6 months have flown by, and the grand opening of Rayburn Academy is here. Built by great kingdoms, this elite school is legendary. They train youths to stop the erosion of the world. Only students aged 15 to 20 can enter. Back then, it birthed legendary heroes. He remembers that scum, pure, unadulterated rage. He died because of them, but this time, he knows all of their weaknesses. Since he knows their secrets, he is going to steal their skills first. Crash turns 14 next year, leaving exactly 1 year to prepare for enrollment. He must grow stronger fast, but his natural physical limits are already holding him back. Right now, he is completely stuck at the novice tier, far from being an expert. His best move is to steal Bianca's doll curse and master blood immersion poison. With that goal in mind, he enters her room and finds her waiting. Quietly reading a book, she looks up and says she cannot leave him alone. She follows Crash Valheim around constantly, like he is some helpless little chick. He sighs, wondering when she will actually start seeing him as a genuine friend. That deep connection is the final key to unlocking her powerful curse. Honestly, watching him calculate a date just for stats is pretty wild. Just then, his butler arrives with an invite to the Starlight Sanctuary. This is the massive annual party for all the young nobles of the kingdom. It is the perfect place for high society kids to network and make connections. Crash only has faint memories of it, so he thanks Eliana for explaining. Since he was locked away in Greenpine Mansion before, his memories are fuzzy. Even so, he accepts the invite because he suspects a specific target will attend. Plus, he wants to keep a personal promise he made to his loyal butler. He announces that he is going to the Starlight Sanctuary alongside Bianca. But Bianca quickly warns him that the other noble kids will mock him. She knows that high society crowd loves to look down on people. But get this, he is actually more worried about what they will say to her. Bianca does not shrink back, insisting that she will stand right by his side. Crash points out that as her fiancé, it is his job to protect her. He adds that he is asking because he wants her real feelings, not duty. Seeing a sudden flash of pity in his eyes makes her feel uneasy again. Over the last few months, Crash has treated her with an unexpected, gentle kindness. He brings her along to the peaceful library and asks her favorite foods. He even lets her nap quietly under the trees while he trains nearby. This quiet warmth is something she never felt inside the heartless Hardenheart house. Being treated like this makes her feel genuinely happy for once. In fact, she is completely forgetting how awful he first seemed. With that thought, she suddenly realizes she is beginning to like Crash. She looks at him and says she wants to go of her own free will. Hearing those words, Crash is left absolutely stunned by her sudden change of heart. So he ultimately agrees to let her tag along to the Starlight Sanctuary, and they soon depart by carriage, passing the Grand Garyu Pavilion. On the way, she notices he has rented out the region's most famous landmark. This reveals the absolutely insane amount of wealth his family actually possesses. In this world, nobles earn respect by fighting off the terrifying erosion for commoners. Yet these party-obsessed elites are somehow deemed the future of Starlon. Just then, the young master and his fiancée, Bianca, arrive at the Grand Hall. Stepping inside, he highly doubts many decent people actually gather in this place. Right away, nasty whispers spread about him being the family's useless disgrace. And her, the cursed daughter of the fierce northern conqueror, standing here. Among these pretentious nobles feels hopeless until someone gets excited by Valheim's arrival. They actually find him incredibly fascinating and completely different from the rest. This proves some genuine nobility still exists here, starting with Tigriso Barak Hogma. At his side stands the elf Emilia, alongside the skilled wood archer Annex Glazer. Soon, this legendary trio will be widely known as the true heroes of Starlon. But their sudden interest in him is for one very specific, unavoidable reason. Crash is absolutely certain it is because of Charlotte, his boastful older sister. She previously bragged that nobody in the entire sanctuary could ever defeat her in battle. Finding the party boring, she simply boasted without holding back. Sensing the tense atmosphere, Crash realizes she has already caused a huge scene. Honestly, you can't blame him for wanting to escape this awkward place immediately. Right then, Bianca gently tugs on his suit jacket to grab his attention. She warns him to ignore the whispers, but his mind is entirely on his sister. He assures her those insults mean nothing, noticing how much she actually worries for him. Even as a target of their scorn, she somehow cares more about his feelings. Suddenly, they overhear guests nearby gossiping about them without even using their names. But the moment the young master and Bianca turn to approach them, everyone freezes. Silence falls. Lord Darling Danfelion's arrival is loudly announced. Directly from the famous alchemy castle, he instantly becomes the absolute center of attention. Darling appears easily the strangest of these eccentric nobles. Meanwhile, dark curse marks heavily cover Crash's entire body. Suddenly, a mysterious woman tries to touch him, demanding to know what happened to him. She points out that this specific level of curse erosion can actually be cured. Claiming she can fix it, she asks if he wants to be her test subject. Since he lacks the energy to refuse, she happily assumes he accepts the proposal. Boldly, she declares that his healing session is going to begin right now. What she does next is shocking. Crash's eyes go wide. She leans in close, intending to kiss him, but Crash swiftly stops him. The gorgeous figure standing before him is actually the lord of the alchemy castle, Darling. This is his first meeting with the man destined to become the legendary king of alchemy. Right now, he effortlessly charms everyone at the ball with his bizarre behavior. Crash can barely believe this attention-addicted creep is allowed out in public like this. Desperate, he looks over to Bianca, hoping she will help him handle this mess. But she just keeps eating, completely unbothered, stating she is staying right here. Left with no choice, Crash approaches Darling to start a conversation. He doesn't recognize him, but then the boy introduces himself as Crash Valheim. That name sparks a faint memory in Darling. Suddenly, everything clicks right into place. This kid is Charlotte's younger brother, and the resemblance between them is uncanny. Uncanny, realizing the connection, the eccentric nobleman is instantly fascinated. Knowing this is Charlotte's brother, Darling asks if the boy has business with him. He even mocks him, guessing his flashy clothes must have caught the kid's eye. Crash ignores the tease and reveals he knows all about Darling's secret research. Specifically, his work on the world's erosion. This instantly grabs Darling's attention. Darling notes he is pretty provocative. He is hooked. The two of them head into a private room. Closing the door behind them, the future king of alchemy asks Crash his age. Darling casually picks up 2 training swords, while the young hero replies that he is 13. The alchemist says he looks young, but his aura is completely different. In fact, the kid feels more like an academy veteran. Time to get to business. Spit it out, the king of alchemy demands him to speak. The tension is crazy. Right then, our young hero grips his sword tightly. His eyes widen in shock as he witnesses a completely unexpected sight. Without warning, the king of alchemy lunges, and the boy parries at the last second. Crash dodges the follow-up, demanding to know why he suddenly attacked him. Darling just smiles. Since he is Charlotte's brother, a quick test is mandatory. He is annoyed. Crash just wants to skip the games and talk. Darling lowers his blade, asking what proposal he came all this way to pitch. Instead of talking, the hero readies a counterattack as a dark aura flares up. This completely blindsides Darling, who had written him off as a talentless nobody. Never slacking, Crash states that he trains hard every single day. He warns Darling not to unleash such dangerous techniques on a mere student. Then he mentions curse enhancement, offering to help the king of alchemy with it. Darling scoffs, asking what a kid even knows about complex alchemy. Pure silence, the hero just stares back at the future king. Suddenly he leaps high into the air, spinning his body with incredible grace. He presses his cold steel right against Darling's neck, instantly ending the match. His pitch is simple: research on neutralizing the world's erosion curse. The current dispersers cannot break it, but Darling needs this win to succeed. To become a legendary first-class alchemist, validating this research is absolutely critical. He wants to help. Crash offers to make Darling the greatest alchemist alive. He can make it happen using his unique ability to steal curses. The proposal leaves the eccentric nobleman in absolute shock yet again. He realizes that if the boy is telling the truth, this is a goldmine. It is the ultimate chance to test his theories on curse neutralization. Be his boyfriend. No, Crash wants a very specific remedy instead. He needs a special remedy to suppress his heavy curses. Mixing custom remedies is Darling's specialty, so he readily agrees to help. Even the legendary Blue Generation failed to stop the end. Desperate times, a useless guy like him needs every tool possible, including dangerous remedies. Darling heard the boy had lost his motivation. Everyone compared Crash to Charlotte, but Darling now realizes that was a complete lie, while she is in overwhelming genius. Crash is a deeply twisted individual, this eccentric and utterly wild difference between the siblings absolutely excites Darling. In response, he asks the young man a very direct question. He asks if Crash intends to attend Rona Academy. With a highly confident look, Crash affirms that he obviously will. The bold answer leaves the future king of alchemy completely spellbound. He immediately declares that he will brew the remedy for the curse and is incredibly excited to work with But Crash has one more request. He mentions the terrifying discoloration disease, an incurable condition that slowly darkens the victim's skin until they die. The young master boldly demands a cure, and honestly, the pressure is intense. But the alchemist sighs, declaring the disease is incurable and a cure is completely impossible, even for a genius like him. But coming from the future, Crash knows Darling will eventually find it. The alchemist clenches his fists and quietly considers his answer. Crash insists that he will easily find a cure for the curse. Darling replies that such pushy insistence hurts his pride a little. Even so, the two shake hands to seal their secret promise. Crash requests that the remedy be sent over to the Greenpine Mansion, and Darling happily promises to deliver it. Himself, he cannot stop thinking about how fiercely Crash cares for his sister Charlotte. Suddenly, Darling confesses that the spot right next to him is completely vacant, and he would love to be his boyfriend. He admits the young master is still a kid, but confesses he is attracted to men. Hearing this sudden confession, Crash becomes visibly terrified. He instantly panics and starts running away. Moment the king of alchemy declares him his future lover, Crash remembers that Darling was the exact same type of man in his past life. Back at the sanctuary, he spots a crowd gathering in a circle around some chaotic scene. With a grim face, he runs to see the commotion. Right in the middle of it, some guy is grabbing Bianca by the arm, but she looks completely bored. Even with her arm pinned, she only thinks of Crash, the absolute second he appears. She calmly mutters his name, and just like that, Crash unleashes a brutal kick straight to the guy's chest. The impact sends him crashing hard into a wooden table. He was trying to kidnap his fiancée by Force, so Crash confronts him, demands to know what he thinks he is doing. He demands to know why he dared touch his betrothed against her. The guard recoils in shock, but Crash fiercely points out what he was actually doing. Laying hands on a 12-year-old girl. Fuming, he asks if the man has that sick taste. The terrified guard vehemently denies it. He desperately tries to defend his actions, insisting he was only following Princess Claudia's direct orders. Hearing that name, Claudia Stalin stops Crash completely in his tracks. She ordered him to fetch Lady Bianca, and her resistance forced his hand. Bianca silently watches. Crash ultimately decides to believe him. After all, she is the youngest child of the Hardenhearts, who rule the frozen north, where a curse has ruined their noble reputation. Still, Crash wonders why the princess would personally summon someone like Bianca. He is absolutely certain something is deeply wrong here. He digs for the truth behind the princess's order, then another comes. A connection clicks, someone close to the princess, that twisted face. That malicious boy's face surfaces. It is Annex, the obsessive stalker, who stalked his sister, even after his defeat. His hatred and twisted obsession with Charlotte still run incredibly deep in him. He knows he can never defeat her, so now he wants Crash. That is the stalker's play. Crash turns to the guard. His entire attitude shifts instantly, letting the guard carry out his duty on one final condition. He demands to see Lord Annex, not the second princess. He warns the guard that he serves without knowing who pulls the strings. With that, Crash and Bianca head straight to the meeting with the princess and Lord Annex. They walk down the hall, silent and focused. Along the way, Crash wonders, why did Bianca refuse that order? He can read this trap because of his past life, but 12, she shouldn't be sensing this danger yet. He asks his fiancée, why disobey the summon? Her reply is shockingly simple. She only obeyed him. He told her to wait, so she did. Crash smiles. Realizing her absolute sweet innocence, he gently pats her head. Good job. Suddenly, Annex bursts out laughing. He is shocked to see them. Crash says he came for him. Annex absolutely loves that answer. The order was to let young Master Crash in immediately. Crash realizes that command was meant for Tigreso Barak Hogma, who hyped him up as a dual-wielding master anyway. But he is relieved Annex gave an order to help him out. However, Annex is highly curious about Crash. He wants a fight. Crash fought Charlotte in the sanctuary against the rules. Annex expects an easy win, but while both are experts, Annex is stronger. His combat sense is totally unpredictable. Crash cannot read his moves. He wanted to avoid a clash, but Tigreso's eyes tell another story. Looking at him, Crash knows this opponent won't back down easily. Tigreso clenches his fists, pouring all his raw mana into one massive punch. The devastating blow hurtles directly toward the young master. Crash dodges, preparing a quick counter. He slides to evade the strike. Tigreso pulls a wild backflip to dodge his hit. Crash springs back up ready. He fires back. A brutal, high-powered kick lands flush. Crash's eyes are cold and sharp. Locks onto his enemy with absolute precision. Then, he unleashes his signature 1-inch punch straight into Tigreso. Oh man, that impact slams him down. Crash sighs, too easy. Moments later, the beaten man wakes up. Complaining that Crash is being cruel, Crash tells him he started it. He could have avoided this whole fight, but now Tigreso wants to grab his weapon and go another round. Crash just stares. Can he even stand? Even through his painful injuries, he smiles, ready for more, but then his body completely collapses from the massive shockwave. He passes out entirely. No second round today, buddy. Crash explains to Bianca that he used a secret family technique to finish it. That devastating 1-inch punch was thrown by a man everyone called the failure of the Valheim family. A secret technique designed to unleash maximum destruction at point-blank range and crush their insides. Before his regression, this was the only move he saved from his burning family home. It alone kept him alive through endless life-or-death situations. Now that he used his finest skill, he knows Tigreso will not be standing up anytime soon. He calmly tells the others they can finally enter the inner hall now that their massive opponent is completely cleared out of the way. They push open the doors, ready for a fight. They spot a man and a woman casually leaning against a balcony. Inside the sanctuary, suddenly a figure approaches and calls for Bal, who finds the entire situation hilarious. He cannot believe they actually defeated Barak Hogma. Meanwhile, Crash used the second princess as bait to lure him here. Annex does not care about her. Because he came strictly for Crash himself. Annex smiles, realizing the rumors must be false. Since Crash figured out his scheme so easily, without wasting time, Crash challenges him to a duel. Warning that there will be a severe price to pay, he declares that the rumors will completely flip after today because he's going to steal his opponent's prized ability. If people call him a failure, defeating him today will rewrite his entire story. NX Glazer quietly stares back at Crash. They have a long history together, spanning from their academy days to the elite blue generation. In his past life, they were close comrades who survived many trials, but their friendship was a lie. Crash was useful to Glazer. Sadly, that utility was exposed in the worst possible way. It happened during a fatal mission where their entire party died, leaving Crash in total despair. He begged Annex Glazer for help, but Annex realized something terrifying. If anyone discovered the deadly trap was his fault, he would be thrown out of the elite blue generation. Desperate, Crash argued that if he was the sole survivor, no one would ever discover the truth. He pointed out that internal power struggles were highly complex, and that Annex would face expulsion over one simple mistake. Hearing this, Annex made a cold-blooded decision. He refused to lose his prestigious position, so he chose to frame Crash instead. Since everyone already detested him, the truth would remain buried forever. With a sickening smile, Annex thanked Crash for being a loyal friend right until the very end. Soon, Crash was dangling over a cliff, completely consumed by a burning hatred for Glazer. He screamed that he only aligned with him from the beginning because of Charlotte, and that this tragedy happened because he was blinded by his desire to marry her. Glazer scoffed, replying that this was precisely why he always loathed Crash Valheim. He mocked his lack of talent, yet cursed with a sharp intuition that constantly interfered with his plans. Since Charlotte was getting married anyway, their useless partnership would end right here. NX muttered. He added that this was probably for the best, because Charlotte surely would not want a depressing funeral on her wedding day. Finally, Crash's grip failed him, and he lost his hold on the cold rock. Plunging into the dark abyss, he accepted that this was his miserable end, until a strong hand suddenly grabbed him. It belonged to Arthur, and the two ended up joining forces. But that was just the start of a much worse nightmare. Eventually, Annex was thrown out of the blue generation thanks to Arthur's testimony. Desperate for power, he then tried to force a marriage with the princess. Now, Annex mocks Crash, sneering that his pathetic face and voice are just like Charlotte's. This insult completely. Crash looks closely at his opponent. This arrogant punk has not changed one single bit. He warns Annex Glazer, never speak Charlotte's name so lightly. Fists packed with raw, concentrated power, Crash charges straight forward to attack the enemy. He never runs. Young Master Crash proudly goes directly on the offensive. Annex barely blinks. A colossal tree erupts from the ground to block him. Crash grabs the branch, instantly preparing a wild acrobatic flip. He vaults to strike, but the wood beneath his feet suddenly breaks apart. It instantly whips around his ankle like a living snake, trapping him fast. It slams Crash hard onto the ground, tossing him aside like a ragdoll. More roots rise to trap him, but he desperately breaks away. He stands again, though his heavy breathing shows he is pretty tired. This fight is tough. Annex sneers, asking if that is really all. He openly mocks Crash, daring him to use a weapon against their secret technique. The Celestial Wood style. It uses rapid growth and aura buffs. Watch this. Crash casually reaches down and picks up a small stick. He asks if this simple piece of wood is the weapon his enemy wanted. Crash promises to win using the exact same wood Glazer loves. Feeling highly insulted, Glazer challenges him to block his massive attacks. Massive root attacks strike, but Crash immediately rushes straight forward. Crash effortlessly slips past every single attack like a swift shadow. Glazer is shocked. This makes absolutely no sense for a family reject. The kid was supposed to be a total failure, unlike his genius sister Charlotte. Did he unlock the mind's eye? Crash remains entirely unfazed by him. To the boy, this enemy is just another arrogant, annoying target. In his past life, he saw these exact techniques until he grew sick of them. He knows Annex gets distracted whenever he starts thinking about Charlotte. A moment of silence, Crash realizes his opponent is spacing out again. Furious, Annex uses his plant magic to summon a massive tree trunk to strike. Crash shields his eyes as a violent cloud of dust rushes over. Annex unleashes the fifth form, raising a towering, terrifying wooden creature. The giant beast emerges. Annex warns things are about to get really serious. Watching closely, the princess realizes Annex has gone way too far. If young Master Crash takes a direct hit, the consequences are disastrous. She shivers, terrified of the terrible, irreversible disaster heading his way. The giant attacks. A colossal, devastating punch is aimed directly at the boy. But young Master Crash does not flinch. He already has a clever plan to win. He remembers a tiny, dusty manual hidden inside the family library. The author was a completely talentless ancestor who swung his sword until the age of 80. He repeated the exact same sword training over and over again. The short guide outlines a secret technique requiring perfect total unity. The swordsman and blade must become one. Having faced death so often, Crash easily understands this concept. Boy and weapon merge as one, and he swings the branch in a single, fluid motion. With that strike, he slices clean through the actual dimension. The clean cut completely slices the wooden giant, defeating the monster. Using a simple tree branch instead of a real sword, the princess is absolutely stunned. Even Annex Glazer cannot believe his eyes. Right then, our hero steps out from the thick smoke, completely locking his opponent's focus. He tosses the branch aside and warns him to drop the arrogance. He throws the broken branch on the ground and delivers one final warning. Just like that, his defeated opponent collapses to the ground, totally drained of strength, but our protagonist is also completely spent. After destroying that massive wooden giant, he only wanted to hold back enough to steal the target's skill easily, but he ended up pushing himself to the absolute limit. Now he cannot even move or speak. Suddenly, Bianca rushes over and hugs him. Crying out that she will save Crash, she presses hard on his chest, almost suffocating him in the process. At this rate, she might kill him. Stop, please. Luckily, a man carries him to the clinic. In an instant, everyone in the hall breaks into wild chatter. He actually beat the powerful Annex. Word spreads like wildfire about the family's useless spare defeating a high noble. Nobody could have predicted this absolute madness. He will become a huge celebrity the moment he wakes, but wait, there is a catch. Annex's final expression left a lingering sense of dread. Trouble is coming. Meanwhile, the King of Alchemy declares that the young master cannot die yet. He needs him alive for research. Eventually, our hero wakes and returns to training. A week passes since his return from the Sacred Star Sanctuary. His body is slowly recovering from the strain of using that sword. He knows his condition would be far worse than his opponent's if he had not fainted. He could have finished preparing to steal his opponent's powerful abilities. Crash has two clear methods in mind to achieve this. The first involves unlocking the Black Hood's padlock. The second is to mentally induce his target. He decides on the second path. It is incredibly simple, provided one can overwhelmingly crush the enemy, since that giant wooden beast went down with a single attack. Annex is drowning in deep doubt, losing to a trash noble he despised completely breaks his confidence. Soon, that rare recovery skill will belong to Crash. He is focused. He plans to train hard every day until Academy entrance, pushing past his limits. Suddenly, his loyal butler appears to address the young Master. Billiken, his intimidating older brother, has just arrived at the Green Pine Mansion. Unable to ignore him, Crash permits his brother's entry. Right after his intense training, Bianca hands him a glass of water. She wrinkles her nose, teasingly complaining about the strong smell of his sweat. He is simply expelling impurities while expanding his aura, completely ignoring the odor. She insists he take a hot bath before greeting his older brother. When he refuses, she jokingly demands he keep his distance from her. He asks if she is bossing around her own fiancé, noticing how much she has matured lately. Suddenly, she giggles and starts running away from him, catching him by surprise. He still views her as a younger sister and cannot help but tease her. His old allies from before his regression would judge him coldly. He instantly imagines Lord Arthur looking down on him with absolute apathy, calling him incredibly soft and telling him he has gone weak. At this rate, he won't be able to stop the world's destruction. Thinking of Arthur makes his mind wander. He hates admitting that, except for that final moment. Arthur was always a hero, a frontline hero who never let his guard down. Then his older brother interrupts. Like Valheim finally appears. He notices them having fun and immediately accuses his brother of flirting with his fiancée, but everyone needs a break. He reflects that this boy, who once was too terrified to even look him in the eye, now stares at him directly. He confirms that the rumors about defeating Onyx have spread, then asks why he came to the Green Pine Mansion. He replies that the academy is accepting students based strictly on exams instead of status. In response, the main character states that his brother better start preparing. Balikin is insulted. He realizes the boy is deliberately baiting him. The world's strongest empire fears the Valheim family. They would never dare attack the kingdom of Styrian. His family is on a completely different level. He is a direct descendant. He finds it absurd that his brother tells him to prepare, especially since he is unimpressed by that victory against Onyx. He replies that it is only natural for commoners to worry about making gains at the academy. Seeing his brother does not take the bait, he asks what kind of attitude that is. He reveals he came to the Green Pine Mansion specifically to deliver an order to his younger brother. The command is to stop the world erosion occurring on Mount Gerlach. The young man argues that he is only 15. But his brother replies that he will join him as a guardian, telling him not to be afraid. He realizes his brother wants to test his strength and keep him on a short leash, so he agrees to go. He is far more used to fighting the corrosion than living a peaceful life. Even if it is a trap, he has a plan. He tells Bianca that he is leaving to handle the corrosion mission, telling her not to follow. She agrees that she will not follow him and calmly obeys, though she remarks it is absurd to send a 13-year-old child to handle this kind of mission. Hearing these words from the cursed princess, his older brother complains. He protects his fiancée, saying his brother should not take the words of a 12-year-old child seriously. This statement is a direct insult to his brother's intelligence. The brother reacts with fury. He turns his back and storms off, offended by his younger brother's provocation. He then tells Bianca she did a good job, even without knowing exactly what she did. He adds that even without understanding, she will be happy with the outcome. As he strokes his fiancée's head, she asks him not to faint. Again, he picks up his weapon, stating he is off to start the mission alongside his brother. The world corrosion is a phenomenon where the world is invaded by another dimension, causing new species to emerge. Over time, drastic changes alter the environment as the corrosion expands. This results in entire areas transforming into otherworldly landscapes like the rotted slopes of Mount Gerlach. The area is classified as a 3-star corrosion, and the purification team reports that their work will begin after the boss is defeated. This 3-star level is a challenge that would give even elite knights a tough time, but despite his looks, Belkin is actually a high-level expert, easily crushing any zone boss. Yet in this very moment, he turns to his brother Crash with a sudden favor. He claims it is just so his low-level sibling can get some combat practice. Crash plays along, but he knows his brother is hiding something. After all, Crash only came despite the heavy pressure for one specific reason. He must test a temporary fix, a cure for his power surges. Right then, they instantly slice down a bizarre insect from the corrupted dimension. The knights grow weary. At this rate, the fight will never end. But Crash points to a headless, tooth-covered beast and issues a warning. They must protect themselves with aura, because a single bite causes massive swelling. Dumbfounded, the knights ask if Crash has actually fought in a corrupted world before. One notes how crazy it is for a 13-year-old boy to get this close. Belkin quietly notes that for someone supposedly useless, Crash is way too calm. Especially since this is his first corrupted zone. When Belkin was 15, he panicked. His pride utterly shattered. How is his little brother so completely unbothered? He is even giving advice to veterans, which is the exact opposite of Belkin's past. Staring at the faint smile on Crash's face, he desperately tries to stop comparing. Talk about a massive blow to his pride. His brother completely outshines him. Trembling, he grips his sword hilt, watching Crash direct the knights. Suddenly, a bright aura flares up, completely wrapping around his sharp blade. A dark, terrifying thought forms. Is it actually possible? He fears Crash will surpass him, just like Charlotte did. If so, he becomes the useless brother, a fate he refuses to accept. He suddenly charges forward to slay nearby beasts, warning that the boss is near. Stepping into a thick red mist, Belkin notes they might actually be quite lucky. It seems much easier than before, with no other beasts besides the boss. But Crash warns that this is exactly why they must stay extremely alert. The whole area is just too quiet. Something is incredibly wrong here. A powerful 3-star boss must be feeding the entire corrosion zone alone. Belkin snaps, ordering his men not to let a mere child scare them. He claims it is just a simple 3-star boss they can easily wrap up. Crash tries to focus, then a sudden, blinding vision paralyses him. It is the extreme immersion poison running through his system, letting him perceive the corrupted energy much better than before his regression. Clutching his mask, he knows he has to endure this brutal reality. The tension peaks, and then, right in the thick of the rising smoke, his body violently spasms, nausea strikes, and he begins to throw up. Mouthfuls of blood, the sudden toll leaves him deeply injured and gasping. A worried knight asks if Crash is okay, but Belkin quickly steps in. He claims the boy just tripped from exhaustion, but Crash waves them off. He did not expect to throw up, but this toxic energy is pure poison. Still, he has no choice. Following the hidden manual, he focuses on mastering the extreme immersion poison in his blood. Now, he must fuse his aura directly with the corrupted power, letting his energy flow like a massive river. He absorbs the corrupted energy, creating a brand new color, a hue that cannot be overwritten. This terrifying side effect of the surge leaves him completely shaken. He knows that under normal conditions, he never would have survived this. With no choice left, he channels his aura to initiate a secret technique. From Seishuken, a legendary sanctuary he believed was erased from history long ago. Years ago, a blind ancestor stumbled upon a highly classified archive, but because of his condition, he could not read a single word. He had to seal the chamber, leaving behind only one manual to ensure nobody else suffered his fate. That technique is called Sixth Sense. Now, our hero forces his energy to circulate. He activates the blind ancestor's lost art with intense focus. This extrasensory perception allows him to detect everything through his aura. While he cannot discern exact details just yet, it is more than enough. He pinpoints his location and senses that his immediate surroundings are finally free from the corrupting influence. As the surge retreats, he knows his technique worked. He overcame the crisis. Wiping the blood from his mouth, he smiles slightly. Still, he knows this is only a temporary fix to a much larger threat. Another dangerous outbreak could easily happen the next time he absorbs energy. To survive that, he still absolutely needs the power of the cursed doll. It is just a containment tool, but Bianca's item is his only real shield. But look at that, he actually managed to evolve to the next level. Suddenly, a bizarre, cold sensation washes over him. He spins around in alarm. He senses an enemy. Right on cue, a hideous creature appears behind him. The foul beast keeps its eyes tightly shut before suddenly snapping them open. Menacing red glow flares. Our hero is now facing the area boss. Before him looms a colossal red monstrosity, a bizarre hybrid of a lion and a giant worm. He yells a warning to the others. This chimera is a level 3 area boss. The terrifying beast unleashes a deafening roar to shake them to their core. Even Belkin, the protagonist's strong older brother, stares in absolute disbelief. Our hero is just as paralyzed, feeling the overwhelming pressure of this beast. This is Sengonki, the notorious demon of 1,000 faces, ready for blood. He commands everyone to draw weapons and steel themselves for a brutal clash. Instantly, Belkin coats his massive blade in a thick layer of frost. Then he feeds roaring fire into it, causing the weapon to expand. His destructive power is completely off the charts. The protagonist immediately recognizes this technique. It is the devastating Igni's ability. The very same flame that brutally scarred his arm in his past life. Back then, Belkin used it just to show off their massive power gap. Before the regression, his brother was a complete madman, but now he acts totally different, making our hero wonder if he has actually changed. Honestly, let's hope so. Suddenly, a strange skill activates and steals a face. One of the panicked knights shouts that it is a face-stealing curse. He warns that even elite fighters struggle heavily against those 8 massive arms. With things looking this grim, their only logical move is to retreat immediately. But Belkin completely disagrees, barking out a harsh order to stand and fight. He swings, sending a massive, burning slash tearing straight toward the beast. The beast bursts into flames, every twisted face screaming in pure agony. It crashes to the dirt, completely overwhelmed by that devastating fire strike. Belkin barks at his men to hold the line while he carves out an opening. His knights are stunned by this raw display of leadership. Even this massive boss seems utterly powerless against his overwhelming strength. But the protagonist is scanning the field, wondering if someone didn't make it. He notices his older brother isn't looking at him at all. His brother is hyper-focused on the boss, as a strange fluid leaks from its eyes. Thick tears of agony pour down from all of its crying faces. The protagonist gets a terrible gut feeling that something is deeply wrong here. If they don't move now, this entire raid is going south fast. Suddenly, his older brother leaps straight toward the beast to strike again. Belkin feels a suffocating weight pressing down from the monster's body. He knows they have to kill this thing before something goes terribly wrong. He orders all his knights to push forward as he charges back in. But the monster just absorbs his aura strike like it was absolutely nothing. He screams for his squad to strike before the beast can shift forms. Valheim's finest knights shouldn't be running scared from a mutant like this. But he looks back and barks, "What are you all just standing there for?" Then a horrifying realization hits the protagonist's older brother. He has been hit by the demon's curse without even being touched. A sickening sensation creeps over him as his own face begins to melt. The curse completely erases his features, leaving him standing there frozen and faceless. Dark clouds gather overhead as a heavy rain starts to pour down. And just like that, the tide completely turns against them. Both brothers can feel the cold grip of death tightening around them. There's no escaping this nightmare, only a grim end waiting in the dark. They have been running forever, yet the demon is still right on their heels. This endless loop means the corrosion has trapped them in a sealed space. There is no way out of here unless they put this monster down. Despair starts to sink in, whispering that this is where he dies. Suddenly, a vision of Charlotte flashes before Belkin, offering a desperate plan to survive. He scrambles to get away, but the beast chases him with terrifying speed. The sheer size of this monstrous thing is enough to paralyze anyone with fear. Gritting his teeth, he draws his blade, coating it in a blazing aura. He slams his burning steel right against the giant hand of the demon. A brutal clash of pure strength unfolds under the pouring, relentless rain. Overwhelmed and exhausted, he collapses onto the wet ground, completely spent. His body won't heal, but his brother grabs him and drags him away. He pulls him out of the hot zone while the battle rages on. Through the haze, they see the knights still struggling against the beast. Belkin desperately wants to rejoin the fight, but they are completely broken. He realizes just how insanely overpowered this demon truly is. His brother retrieves his fallen sword, but the bitter taste of defeat remains. Belkin grinds his teeth, staring helplessly at the corrupting fog closing in. Surrounded by absolute monsters, Belkin feels they might not make it out. He is completely convinced that a gruesome end is the only thing waiting for them. With the thousand-faced demon lurking close, he asks how much further the exit is. His younger brother admits they have wandered for hours without seeing any escape path. Suggesting this corrupted dimension is a sealed room, they cannot hope to leave unless they take down the demon itself. Suddenly, Crash Valheim reveals a plan to actually win this battle. He claims to have a secret technique. Their sister Charlotte once taught him. It is the very same trump card he used to battle Annex of the Star Sanctuary. Apparently, she had special affection for both brothers since the start. Belkin asks his sibling if this trick can truly destroy such a monster. Instead of running away and getting lost in this ruined zone, they decide to gamble everything. Crash understands the doubt but still offers a hand in partnership. He asks if Belkin trusts their sister's genius. Belkin admits that he does trust Charlotte, but if they fail, it means a certain death sentence for both of them. Crash just smiles and confidently promises that failure is not an option. Standing in this hellish wasteland of decaying reality, the brothers brace for the beast's arrival. Crash asks if the Igni's power is fully prepared. Belkin nods. Ready to initiate the high-stakes plan, Crash stands tall and steadies his stance. A massive wave of pressure rolls out, fully cloaking his frame. He shuts his eyes, channeling his focus to ignite the power. Belkin is shocked to witness such a refined and heavy presence from Crash. The sword begins to grow, pouring out vast amounts of energy. Belkin wonders what kind of concentration this requires. Honestly, have you ever seen an aura this pure? Belkin remembers hesitating when Charlotte wanted to combine his Igni's fire with her secret art. He practiced endlessly but could never grasp that form. Yet his sibling somehow did. Now, Crash asks for his flame and Belkin obeys. He transfers his blazing magic, focusing the thermal power into the blades. Crash is instantly wrapped in his brother's scorching ignis, his entire body. Bursting with fire, the sword expands further, its massive edge dripping with embers. He then warns his brother that this heavy technique cannot be sustained for long. Asking him to buy some precious time, Belkin stares at the roaring fire, burning with a heat he could never hope to produce. With that sword, Crash can absolutely slay the thousand-faced demon. Belkin remembers his fallen men, slaughtered in a blink while he was forced to flee for his life. If Crash actually wins, it proves a bitter truth. He is weaker than the supposed family failure. Crash only needs a single clean blow to finish things. He prepares the ultimate swing, his blade completely coated in his brother's blazing ignis. He fires the strike with incredible force, right in front of Belkin's eyes. It is one clean blow designed to end the monster. As Belkin watches in utter shock, the massive beast is swallowed by white-hot flames, and with a single deadly slash, the boy ends it, with the monster's death. The oppressive storm clears and bright sunlight breaks through, seeing the sky clear. Crash calls out to his brother, announcing that their nightmare is finally over. It is finally over. Belkin stands there in absolute shock at how easy it was. He begins to laugh, drawing his blade as he screams at his brother, fully intending to kill him. He lunges, but Crash blocks the strike by channeling ignis into his own sword. Belkin freezes. He cannot understand why his ignis refuses to ignite, and Crash just smiles. He thanks his brother for always being so predictable. The conditions to break Belkin were clear. First, he had to willingly hand over a portion of his ignis to his opponent. Second, he had to acknowledge that this opponent wielded the flame far better than himself. And finally, his pride had to completely shatter. Right then, Crash strikes hard, tearing a deep wound across Belkin. The roaring fire completely consumes the beast. Crash cuts away a small piece of the carcass. He stares, remembering when he only wanted to belong, to find peace with his brothers, but no matter how hard he tried, that dream was crushed. Love was something he would never get, and the root of all this misery was the sheer hostility of Belokin Valheim. Yet a tiny part of him still hoped that this time Belokin would finally look at him as a brother, with no other option. He shoves the raw piece of the beast right into his brother's mouth, watching him choke and convulse. He remembers that exact feeling from when his own face and arms were burning. Because of that, he does not look away, watching his older brother rise. In pure agony, he watches until those legs finally twitch and go completely still, leaving the corpse behind. He looks up at the sky. He laughs at the sheer irony of such a gorgeous morning. Meanwhile, back at the main Valheim estate, grim news arrives. Lord Belokin's elite night division is wiped out. The local corrosion danger level is raised to 5 stars, requiring a top-class specialist to handle this beast. The official story claims that without Lord Belokin sacrificing his life, young Crash would have died out there. Belokin's personal butler breaks down in tears, hearing how his noble master died to save the most useless member of the family. Soon after, the head butler of Valheim announces that the surviving brother is present. Crash quietly listens as the elders talk, declaring that the young lord's honorable sacrifice must never be forgotten. It is clear they fell for his story, completely believing his testimony, no more worrying about those suspicious eyes, thanks to his brother. This entire expedition turned out to be incredibly profitable. He proved he can successfully control the volatile surges inside his sixth sense. Not only that, but he grew much more deadly with his extreme blood immersion poison. Plus, through ignis, he managed to unlock the rare black flames. Normal ignis is already a terrifying power that burns through anything, but mixing it with the corruption of world corrosion birthed this dark, consuming fire. Now his only remaining task at the estate is to investigate these bizarre, sudden anomalies happening within the world corrosion zones. He lightly knocks on the door and steps inside, catching a tense conversation about how the root cause of the erosion remains a total mystery. Even if a world corridor is responsible, its massive main body is trapped deep within an eternal slumber, leaving it to perceive our world only through its loyal, rotting minions. Encountering one of those creatures now that they are moving would be disastrous. Waiting inside is Saphira, a 4th-class investigator from the corrosion division. As he approaches, he spots a distinct black star marked on her pale neck. Seeing that mark sends a sudden wave of shock through his body. He never expected to find her so soon. He knows she is undead and he wants answers. He demands to make a contract. Pointing his finger, he vows to strip away her immortality. She smiles, realizing this kid is actually a regressor. She drops her disguise. Her terrifying true form is revealed. The Crimson Immortal, Crimson Garden August, is imprisoned in the past timeline. Under Arthur's orders, they failed to steal her power. Arthur explained that the Immortal would be trapped in an endless cycle of regeneration. Completely unable to command her forces, the only reason she has so many minions is a curse keeping her true body completely paralyzed. The woman questions what is so regrettable, recalling the massive chaos when she expanded the corruption zone. Lady Sigrun quickly warns her to stop feigning innocence like that. Even if it was accidental, Arthur cuts in, declaring this will solve the problem and orders an end to the useless debate. But to Arthur it is still a massive shame. He regrets that Crash failed to steal her immortality. Even if the boy is reborn, this task remains. But get this, the rule for success is absolute. He must become vastly stronger than the immortal herself. Back in the present, she smiles, asking if he is indeed the regressor. Revealing her true face, she proclaims she has found something totally useless. He calmly asks why she thinks that no normal child would ever dare propose such a crazy deal. Still, she accuses him of lying to her. As a mere mortal trapped in time, cannot kill a being transcending it. The boy simply raises his hand, activating his unique skill, and insists he is telling the truth. After all, his ability can steal her immortality. Activating his black hood, a spectral purple hand suddenly envelops her. She clenches her fist, unleashing her own massive energy. In truth, she spread corruption just to find someone who could finally end her. Now a person who can steal her curse has actually shown up. He lays out his terms. He needs her help to grow stronger. His skill only triggers once he surpasses her power. He offers to become her disciple if she will trade her soul to break this eternal curse. Crimson Garden August vows to make him the strongest man alive and accepts the contract. Still, it is terrifying to be overwhelmed like this by her raw aura alone. She is easily powerful enough to rival Arthur and his elite knights. Even if he must borrow a corruptor's dark power, he has to halt the corrosion consuming this world. In this current timeline, the regression skill went back to Arthur, so Crash cannot regress on his own. If this world is destroyed again, his own existence will vanish completely. That is why he and the Crimson Immortal must work together. When he calls her Crim, she freezes in surprise. She mutters his name, Crash, aloud. Placing a hand on his head, she demands he call her master. With their deal made, he heads back home. It has been years since he was last here, and he does not even live here anymore. Suddenly, Valkyrie of the Royal Knights arrives. He can barely recall his parents' faces, but his mother. She hid her presence at the Pine Mansion, but now she is interested. After hearing rumors of his drastic changes, introducing herself as his mother, she drops a bomb. The Lord wants to see him immediately. He is returning from the Forbidden Domain. His father traveled to a demigod's realm, and through the stars sensed something strange regarding his son. Because of that, Arya orders him to remain at the main house. He refuses. No way, he is not wasting time here while his fiancée Bianca waits. He promises to come back only when his father actually calls for him. This cold defiance leaves his mother completely stunned. She watches him walk away. Looking through the window, she figures his father will have to deal with him. Soon he is in a carriage. The road ahead is simple dirt, but he feels incredibly free out here, knowing he will not have to deal with the Valheim house for a while. Suddenly, a sharp voice calls him an ill-mannered disciple and demands the door open. Seeing her red tree form, he complains that she is way too loud. Instantly, she shifts into a black crow, claiming she can change colors anytime. She playfully teases him, pointing out her new dark feathers perfectly match his eyes. Then she admits her real body cannot move. Foolish regressor. He is actually an incomplete regressor, relying on the power of the true Arthur. Still, he keeps this massive secret hidden from Crim as they reach Green Pine. Before stepping inside, he warns Crim to be gentle with a white chick there. A chick, Crim finds that bizarre for a massive mansion. But then Bianca appears, wrapped in a fluffy white outfit to welcome him back. Crim instantly realizes this white chick her master warned her about is his wife. Ariel the butler greets them, and Arthur asks if anything unusual happened. Ariel hands him a newly arrived letter from their contact, Darlant in Felion. In the message, Darlant confirms the discoloration medicine is ready after some rushed preparation. Arthur orders Ariel to treat the man like royalty, as he is an essential benefactor. Ariel then reveals that Bianca was deeply anxious about him the entire time. Her anxiety spiked when rumors reached her about his involvement in that nasty corrosion incident. She had even demanded a carriage be prepared so she could go look for him. Hearing this, he realizes he has neglected checking up on her condition. Just like that, the first requirement for Bianca's friendship is suddenly met. Talk about unexpected, this sudden notification completely catches our hero off guard. Seeing his shocked expression, she quietly asks if there is something wrong with her face. He quickly plays it cool, saying he just wanted to introduce her to a new friend. He presents the little crow, and Bianca gently takes Krim into her hands without a single doubt. She immediately cuddles the bird tightly, treating her just like a beloved, fluffy, stuffed animal. She squeezes Krim tightly, and the hero tries to warn her she might not like it. Regardless, he really needs to figure out how to unlock her friendship conditions. Usually unlocking this requires a family member, a close friend, or a lover. And that last option seems most likely. Just then, Bianca finally releases Krim, who flutters away completely dizzy. Still, he hates the idea of becoming the lover of an emotionless Bianca. These requirements never existed before his regression. Refusing to let her go, that is why he decides to have a serious talk with Crash. Deciding to test his own strength, so he heads to the training area. Crash considers his current level pathetic for a regressor. Krim remarks that the young man has mediocre talent. Even with his past memories and secret techniques, he barely manages a decent result, yet a true genius would easily surpass him in less than 5 years. But Krim has a proposal. This only applies to talent, which means nothing to Crash because the hero has a unique skill, the ability to steal talent from others. He never would have escaped rock bottom. But now this body will lift him up to conquer everything from the heights. And finally, Krim has one last thing to add. Assuming a human form, he declares that in the end, Crash can even steal his immortality. The hero watches and feels motivated by the immortal's words. Crash replies that it goes without saying and that he will absolutely steal his immortality in the end. A few days pass. Darling arrives at Green Pine Mansion to meet the hero. She calls him dear, asking if she kept him waiting long. The protagonist asks if she brought what he asked for. Then, Darling reveals the darkening potion intended for the butler's daughter. Crash comments that Darling has always been an alchemy genius and thanks her. However, something seems to be bothering the alchemist. Suddenly, she hugs the hero, making Krim visibly irritated. Crash pushes her away, but Darling insists she needs to tell him something. The alchemist reveals that Annex has changed, having stopped training after losing to Charlotte, but returned to his routine after the incident at the Star Sanctuary. Crash realizes his rival was inspired after losing to him at the sanctuary. He tells Darling that if she is done talking, she can leave as he now has plans beyond Valheim. Krim intervenes, saying he was already planning to use the alchemist to strengthen the boy's mediocre body anyway. Krim orders Darling to prepare some items, like a potion that enhances physical attributes and aura. These elixirs are extremely expensive and their secret crafting techniques are closely guarded. They are items for a select few, far beyond his reach, but Krim knows the formula and just needs to pass it to Darling. Krim then asks if there is anything else they should expect before the tournament. After hearing about Annex, the hero asks Darling to craft a specific elixir for him. She asks if he has money for the materials, and the boy claims he will find a way using knowledge from his past life. Krim asks him to repeat the ingredients so Darling can write them down. The hero then begins to list the materials for the Sovereign of Alchemy. Darling is visibly confused by some of the components on the list. She begins to write down everything the boy says so she will not forget anything. The alchemist asks where he got that information, and the hero replies that it is a secret family formula. Darling says the only problem will be getting all the materials. She explains that it is impossible to get Sun Snow's core or the golden dragon herb. Sun Snow's core is only found in the steep corrupted peaks to the north in Hardened Heart territory. The golden dragon herb is a phantom item that grows near golden dragon nests in the remote regions of the Empire. They could buy it on the black market, but if the Empire found out, the consequences would be disastrous. The hero decides that if with no other options, he must find a black market merchant. Darling then suggests the Epiphania Empire's martial arts contest for kids under 15. The prize, a golden dragon herb, but our hero remembers his roots. In Valheim, knowing the Empire uses it to grab political leverage. Against the Academy, messy, very messy, still he insists he has a plan, relying on his sheer genius to pull it off. The hero spots Darling holding a strange potion, asking if he should drink it. Right as he swallows the liquid, his hair grows uncontrollably. He lets out a loud, terrifying scream. He realizes he has suddenly turned into a woman, a perfect cover. To keep his identity hidden during the tournament, Darling quickly hugs him, saying, all he has to do now is compete as a girl. The crow watches this absolute madness in complete disbelief. In response, our irritated protagonist unleashes his curse-stealing ability to terrify Darling. Completely horrified, the alchemist instantly begs for mercy. Days pass, and our hero throws himself into training. Hard, he gathers his energy. The bird focuses his crimson energy wraps around the bird's body before he flaps his wings. With a single motion, he fires magical blasts directly at the young master. The boy senses the surging waves approaching. He keeps his eyes shut. Finally, they open. Ready to defend against the magical waves, he raises his sword for protection, slicing straight through the oncoming energy, moving with incredibly swift movements. The hero deflects the barrage, but wait, it's not over. One of those deadly strikes lands, slamming him to the ground. Krim orders the training over. This pure blade technique reads the moves of high-level opponents, allowing him to instantly predict their next move. Combined with his sharp instincts and sixth sense, it pushes him toward the peak of clairvoyance. Toughening his body with elixirs will make his actions perfectly match his thoughts. Growing far stronger, the crow soon announces that it is time to depart. Our hero gets dressed, asking if they should head out now. Holding a potion, the crow asks if he remembered to bring the requested items. A few days ago, he learned that this special medicine makes him completely undetectable to any sensing magic. The hero regrets not using this sooner, instead of getting turned into a woman by Darling's silly prank. He was told the change would last an entire day, leaving him stuck in that form, and even with Darling being trustworthy, the whole situation left him absolutely drained. Elid, the loyal butler, is already waiting at their designated meeting spot. He quickly explains that he made an arrangement with Fluker, a merchant from the lawless zone, to help him enter legally. She deals in corrupted species and will cross the border with him. Thanks to Elid, he can slip away from the mansion without worries. The butler promises that he can leave everything in his hands, assuring him all will go smoothly. He vows to let absolutely no one inside, not even the powerful head of the Valheim family. Once Darling hands over the medicine for the discoloration disease, the young master says goodbye. The butler deeply thanks him for curing his daughter, claiming he can now die without any regrets. The hero replies that if he is truly grateful, he must live on and not dare leave this. He cannot leave this place without permission, a small price for his daughter's life. Overwhelmed, the butler breaks down, sobbing intensely as he promises to make it. He screams he will survive no matter what. Hearing this, Crash can relax. Finally, he can stop worrying about Elid's past life betrayal. Next, our hero meets with Bianca, thanking her for accepting his heavy request. She mentions she has not been home in ages and needs some proper rest. First, she will secure the son's snow fungus, and then she will return. She promises to wait for him at the Green Pine Mansion afterward. The hero promises his beautiful fiancée that he will return as fast as possible. He finally understands why there was so much noise around the place yesterday. Suddenly, he notices she made delicious sandwiches for his long trip ahead. He says he will eat them later, but she barely reacts to his words. Wishing him a safe journey, he returns the favor before officially heading out. He departs for the Empire, carriage rolling with a majestic bird flying alongside. Wielding his blazing sword mid-combat, he tears out a dark curse from his foe. He absorbs the energy, utilizing his sharp sixth sense to assess the area. The surrounding corruption remains stable, and their cargo continues along a safe path. Because they avoid the dangerous sundered lands, he finds no curses to absorb. That is until Krim notices a single rotten apple dropping from a nearby tree. The bizarre detail catches Crash's eye right after praising the butler's safe route choice. He senses someone blocking their path, and things are about to get real ugly. Up ahead, savage bandits grab a helpless girl with the worst intentions imaginable. His companion is completely shocked, unable to detect any of their hidden presences. The terrified girl prepares for the end, but a sudden flash stops the thug. A mysterious shadow decapitates the aggressor, instantly saving her life. Purple magic surges from his hands, completely wiping out the criminals. One terrified bandit screams out, demanding to know who this little brat is. The furious leader orders his men to slaughter the boy, and they charge. They surround him with their weapons raised, shouting that he has nowhere to run. Suddenly, the hero pulls a massive greatsword straight from a magic portal. Pure shock, he begins slicing through his enemies with absolute ease. He cuts another down, driving his heavy blade straight through the man's skull. Ending his life instantly, the boy turns to face the leader. Staring with eyes full of hatred, the leader realizes this kid is different. Pure fear grips him, forcing him to swing one massive blow to end this. His battle axe comes crashing down, but our hero easily blocks the strike. The boy activates his sixth sense. He easily predicts and blocks every blow, ignoring the leader's angry shouting. The hero calmly states he could crush him, even without his special sense. The criminal boasts about a secret technique, aiming to crush the boy's head. But our hero simply prepares his guard, watching with absolute, cold disdain. Gleefully grinning, the thug raises his battle axe to deliver the final blow. He unleashes the phantom battle axe, a strike overflowing with dark, cursed energy. The young master watches the incoming attack with wide, focused eyes. The powerful strike roars loudly as it collides heavily with the boy's sword. Completely engulfed in roaring flames, the sight leaves his enemy terrified, breaking out. In a cold sweat before this monstrous power, our hero points out that the technique the bandit just used reveals him as a disciple of the killer dog. He claims to be a disciple of the mad dog Belkin, an assassin pledged to the service of the world corruptor alongside the white demon Bianca. His mission was to infiltrate Starden and slaughter everyone, but Charlotte Valheim took him out first. With a swing of his flaming sword, our hero severs the bandit's arms. That victory earned Charlotte massive fame and delayed the enemy's infiltration of Starden. This makes our hero wonder why Belkin's men are already roaming the lawless zone. Their appearance is way too early. He quickly defeats another disciple of the mad dog, burning his body without hesitation. A dark, unsettling feeling about the future washes over him. He decides to grab the golden dragon herb and leave the area immediately. Soon they arrive at Selen, the imperial capital, near the tournament registration site. Huge crowds are gathering to sign up and compete in the martial arts tournament. Watching the massive crowd excites Cicely Epiphania, the fourth princess of the empire. She wants to recruit everyone to the Roana Academy, but her attendant warns her that the emperor would be furious if she does. She orders them never to mention her father or her hallucinations. Her attendant tries to tell her something critical, but Cicely Epiphania refuses to listen, covering her ears like a child, at 7 years old. She possesses an incredibly brilliant mind, solving complex mathematical equations easily. Her talent is so immense that people believe she will rewrite imperial history. News of her genius eventually reaches the emperor, putting a target on her back. This drags her directly into the dangerous dispute for the imperial throne. For a young child, entering this struggle unprepared means instant death. To survive, she must make everyone lose hope in her, a pretty clever move, honestly. She acts like a completely out-of-control, spoiled daughter to ruin her reputation. In the end, even her biggest supporters slowly begin to give up on her. They grow deeply annoyed by her constant bad behavior and dismiss her entirely. Her loyal attendant notices the act, but worries she is taking it too far. Lately, she becomes deeply fascinated by Crash, drawn to his cold presence. His sharp, narrow eyes and the black crow on his shoulder completely enchant her. She instantly suspects he might be a Valheim, a deadly archenemy of the Empire. Trusting her sharp intuition, she is convinced he belongs to that forbidden family. Having a Valheim walking around the capital should be completely impossible. She suddenly leaps from the mezzanine, determined to confirm the truth herself. Sprinting directly toward him, she plans to expose his hidden identity. But suddenly she stumbles. As she falls, she instinctively activates her telekinesis. Crash instantly catches her, stopping her from slamming face first into the dirt. He quietly calls her a troublesome kid, warning her to watch her step. Her heart races. His incredibly calm attitude suggests he knows exactly who she is. After that brief encounter, our hero officially signs up for the martial arts tournament. Now he needs to find an inn to rest, but the first place is completely packed. The second inn is also overflowing with people who traveled for the massive event. Every single inn is booked solid, so he finally decides to just sleep on the cold streets tonight, but right then an old lady calls him. He can stay at her house since he has nowhere else to go. She smiles sweetly. To any normal person, she looks completely harmless. Grim the Crow thinks this is incredibly fishy, but our hero accepts her invitation. The bird mutters that his mother should have taught him better than this. But our hero is just too tired of sleeping on the hard dirt since his past life. The crow thinks this regressor is stupidly careless, so he flies right after him. They head to her home. She leaves to prep dinner. She tells him to settle into the back room up on the second floor. He walks up the stairs and freezes. A girl is standing there watching him. It is the exact same princess from the tournament hall. Just looking at her smug face makes him feel completely exhausted. Realizing it is a trap, he tries to ignore her to avoid any drama. He goes to open his door, but she steps forward and blocks his path. She snaps at him, accusing him of ignoring a lady who is trying to talk. He bluntly tells her she is not his type and there are prettier girls out there. He walks past, which only makes her find him even more mysterious. She follows him down the hallway, chattering nonstop and irritating him. He orders her to stop, but she insists they eat dinner together. She wants details on his life. He refuses, saying he is not in the mood. She asks if he is being serious. She reminds him of who she is. As a princess, she expects some respect. He should not act like this. Wait, how does she know that? She drops his real name, Crash of Starlon, with a threatening look. He realizes she figured out his origin from one tiny conversation. She warns him that treating royalty this way is completely unacceptable. Hearing his true name sends a cold shiver straight down his spine. He plays dumb, denies everything. He treats her like a child. He tells her to finish her little dinner and run along to bed. Furious, she asks who he is calling a child. Her guard whispers to her, asking if that young man is truly from the land of Starlon. She notes that while the words are identical, his accent is different. He has no imperial tone. Only a genius like her would notice that. Her brilliant mind dissects little details that normal people completely miss. And his panicked reaction just confirmed everything she suspected. She has an analytical mind, like a literal mental eye. Things are getting interesting. She commands her men not to capture or interrogate him yet. Then she asks if there is any news about her sister. The guard confirms that everything is going exactly as she predicted. The third princess, Sigrun, is acting like an entirely different person. Something is deeply wrong. This sudden change terrifies the princess. She feels a dark, looming danger. Her terrible gut feeling is right. At this rate, her royal brothers are in grave danger. A rain of blood is coming. Meanwhile, our hero is busy fighting. He absolutely obliterates bandits with brutal strikes. One punch sends a man flying. He soars high, wiping out his enemies with overwhelming force. Preliminaries over, the four victors make their quiet exit. Now all eyes turn to the squinting man from the underworld. He always keeps a strange crow perched on his shoulder. Why the dark mood? It is that annoying girl again. He got zero secrets from her, absolutely frustrating. Even so, he feels relieved. The encounter did not throw him off. He still dominated the ring, easily taking down multiple opponents. These matches pitted groups of 100 directly against each other. Only 4 advanced, he won effortlessly. Then a stranger approaches. He points out the suspicious bird, confirming the dark rumors. Our main character finds this heavily bandaged stranger quite bizarre. The mummy-like kid identifies him as a deadly night crow. The night crows are a legendary force operating outside the Empire's laws. Fearing them as the underworld's deadliest, they have toppled nations. Our hero plays dumb. He claims he is just an outsider. He calmly argues that a legendary assassin would never enlist in the academy. The bandaged young man shrugs, saying he does not care who is backing him. He only wanted to make contact with a fellow underworld dweller. He formally introduces himself to the night crow, then runs off. The stranger dashes away. Grim mocks his incredibly ugly appearance. The bird asks if that annoying freak is bothering his master. Taking flight, the crow resolves to help with a quick spell. The spellbound boy returns, walking like a complete robot. Grim proudly informs his master that he used simple mind control. The master commands the hypnotized puppet to answer his crucial question. He demands to know what happened to the famous night crows. The puppet reveals they recently fell into a destructive spiral. Their presence at this tournament was directly ordered by their deadly new master. He asks for the master's name, and the puppet prepares to answer. The master is Sigrun, second prince of the empire and Sicily's brother. Wait, the second prince. This revelation completely rattles our protagonist. After all, the night crows are actually a secret imperial trap. They exist to monitor and control the movements of wealthy nobility. Since royalty always held command, calling him master makes no sense. This dangerous connection was a classified secret kept until the empire's fall. Yet even a low-ranking grunt knows the true mastermind's identity. They are manipulating the second prince and leaking secrets. His original role was to boost the first prince's influence. Instead, the plan was to eliminate him to weaken the heir. In this dark scenario, only Surgeon Epiphania stands to gain. The mastermind behind the entire conspiracy is Surgeon. He barely believes it. This truth confirms that Arthur's memory inheritance is fully active. With memories of the future, Surgeon's next target is already marked. He wants the brave warrior who hid the imperial white dragon. His other target is the fourth princess, Sicily Epiphania, the woman who reduced Arthur to a puppet king just to seize his conquered throne later. Surgeon has already tried to eliminate this troublesome royal woman before. If Sicily takes the crown, the entire empire will face a devastating collapse. This fall will unleash a dark wave of corruption upon the entire world. To stop this ruin, he must disrupt her plans and steal her power. He orders his crow companion to return to watch for any new information. The bird agrees to help, choosing to lend its dark strength to the cause. But first, the crow asks what should be done with the hypnotized man. The response is cold. The puppet has already served his purpose. So the crow decides to claim him as one of its servants. With a sharp flick of its wing, a dark feather strikes the victim's face. The man babbles nonsense as the crow orders him back to his place. He obeys instantly. Now, it is time to use their looks to his advantage. They need to find the real knight Raven hiding in the tournament finals. Suddenly, two sketchy young fighters show up, and one is named Crane. One of these street kids survived by eating absolute garbage in the sewers. A rogue fighter blocks their path, promising to teach them a painful lesson. This is the true Knight Raven, wrapped in a terrifying and dark aura. Meanwhile, in the main event, our protagonist easily crushes another tournament opponent. The crowd erupts in cheers as they announce the winner as Crash. Everyone in the stands chants the legendary name of the Knight Raven. Even bored spectators admit this kid has made the boring matches exciting. Watch closely, the real, deadly Knight Raven will have to show up soon. Despite receiving direct warnings to stay away, the princess sneaks in to watch. Later that night, she confronts him in private, asking about the matches. She is genuinely shocked to discover that her savior is just a boy. He finds her shocked expression pretty strange, but she quickly plays it cool. Sensing danger around her, he warns the girl to stay completely safe. Tomorrow is the grand finale. As she rests, his words haunt her mind. She suspects trouble brewed during her absence, wondering how he obtained that info. This leaves her seriously questioning the reliability of her own royal spies. To be secure, the princess's loyal aide decides to double-check every lead. She concludes that Sicily is still lingering around, despite all the clear warnings. The princess must have already figured out Surgeon's secret and dangerous master plans. That is why he finds the legendary name of the knight, Raven, so imposing. He and Crane wait in the shadows, wondering if their enemy knows. He arrives at the catacombs when a cold voice suddenly calls out. The stranger mocks him, asking if he enjoys playing the Knight Raven. The creepy vibe mirrors his past tense encounter with that strange mummy boy. No one expected the actual Knight Raven to show his face so early. Without warning, the deadly figure draws twin daggers, spinning them with insane speed. In the blink of an eye, the attacker vanishes from his sight. The blades strike from behind, but our hero dodges with a simple head tilt. Instantly, he lunges forward with bare hands to lock down the real Knight Raven. He grabs those wrists, declaring this won't be a problem. The Knight Raven, however, screams as its face twists into a grotesque, distorted shape. Suddenly, a sharp blade erupts from its shoulder. Two massive blades burst from the Knight Raven's shoulders as it begins laughing maniacally. Immediately, After he lands a powerful kick right on his opponent, despite that kick, he manages to shatter those blades, landing a devastating blow right to the beast's face. He and his crow declare the attack completely useless, explaining that forbidden arts fueled by corruption have absolutely no effect on him. The monster's true identity is finally revealed as Ebelaski. She reveals that Surgeon holds her heart captive, demanding to know where to find her. He proposes a deal. With his help, Ebelaski can finally get her heart back. In exchange, she must reveal every single detail of Surgeon's plan. The corruptor behind the mask is actually the legendary necromancer Ebelaski Benapodi. As a corruptor, the necromancer had her heart stolen and kept captive by the Empire for 1,000 years. One day, Arthur brought her in, claiming she would be useful. The Blue Generation utterly despises corruptors. They only knew her as the world's only necromancer, completely blind to her secret identity as the Night Crow. Corpses do not leak secrets even if the mission fails. A necromancer who commands corpses and crows, along with a family of assassins. All clues point straight to Ebelaski. The target's real identity remained unknown since they were eliminated at the academy. She vanished into thin air, likely captured by Arthur. Dealing with her requires an aggressive attitude, a brute force style that kicks down every door. She gets cocky easily, so he intimidates her to keep her in line. He demands she face him, and she quickly reminds him of his promise to find her heart. He replies that he first intends to demonstrate his powers in person. The target was always the heart in her possession, and he instantly activates his special ability. The Black Hood's power effortlessly pierces through the locks protecting her. With so many restrictions in place, a direct approach was nearly impossible. He tells Ebelaski to entrust her heart to him, claiming he can retrieve it right here. Right now, tears stream down her face as he begins breaking those intense locks. She argues that trust requires more than empty words, demanding he show some actual effort. She insists she is dead serious, struggling to project any real confidence. He then asks if she is tired of her current life. If she gets her heart back, she can spend her days lazing around in her room, letting her corpses do all the heavy lifting. But if he fails, she will have to obey the royal family and work tirelessly for the rest of her life. The mere thought of more work brings her to tears. This is the power of necromancer. As he feels her activating her dark aura, she screams she has worked for over 1,000 years, begging him for help, but he demands she offer her heart in exchange for her truest desire. She admits she has absolutely no choice but to trust him, simply because she refuses to work anymore, and tells him to take her heart. He smiles. Ebelaski is finally free, and he succeeds in stealing her unique ability. She begs him to save her, since her absolute only wish is to live in peace without working ever again. Smirking, he announces that Ebelaski is finally free. She demands her heart back, but he orders her to keep her end of the bargain first. He promises to return it once everything is done. She protests, insisting she simply cannot go on. But he presses on, demanding to know Ebelaski and Lady Surgeon's next moves. She reveals that Sarah Badara, the fourth princess's elite swordmaster, is their primary target. For death, they plan to use Sarah's fallen body to assassinate Sicily and Fania. Just like that, the legendary Master Knight dies by the hand of Mary Diana. Diana coldly tells her she should be honored to perish for the Empire's sake. She is then ruthlessly executed right before the watching crow. Mary Diana mocks Sarah Badara as a mad beast, utterly destroying her by driving a spear straight through her chest. Ebelaski receives a direct order to appear from Lady Surgeon. Ebelaski is also ordered to puppet Sarah's corpse to wipe out the fourth princess, Sicily. In Fania, a full year has now flown by since her regression. She wonders if Lord Arthur is observing her, hoping he knows she and Lady Surgeon are doing their absolute best for his sake. She silently admits how much she misses Arthur. Flashback to one day before the Great Ruin. On the very first Saturday following her regression, Arthur asked her to meet him at 1 o'clock in the afternoon by the Statue of Peace. Reading Lord Arthur's promise made her want to leap for joy. Her heart, overflowing with new hope after returning to the past, guides her there. But Lord Arthur never shows up. Diana quietly wonders if she will ever see Bella or Arthur again. Now in the present, a whole year has passed in silence. She still wonders where her Lord could be. Lady Surgeon urged her to trust his words and wait. That way, she would reclaim her former strength, becoming the world's most formidable spear, that is why she must push herself even harder to make this mission succeed. Suddenly, a massive ballast beast corpse hoists Sarah's lifeless body into the air. Controlling the corpse, Ebelansky notices something and is completely shocked. She quickly retreats, realizing they are concealing a boy just as captivating as Crash. Valheim, she laments that such a beautiful boy is a corpse, never expecting to meet him in the grand finals. Meet Pyrt, a 14-year-old commoner who seems totally ordinary on the surface, yet underneath lies a pure soul whose dream is to achieve world peace. In this moment, he draws his sword. Pyrt is a true powerhouse of the blue generation, a secret he kept hidden from the entire academy. Everyone notices that the Night Crow draws his sword for the first time, and they realize his opponent must be incredibly strong. Pyrt says he heard that no nation can interfere with Rarhorn Academy's affairs. Now that they have finally reached the finals, admission is completely guaranteed. That is why he asks Crash to abandon his life as an assassin, claiming Crash can still become a good comrade. Crash senses Pyrt's kindness, but remembers a warning he received before the fight, warning him that clinging too tightly to hope only makes overcoming despair impossible. When it finally arrives, Pyrt senses Crash's cold rejection of his peaceful offer. Immediately, the judge orders the fight to begin. Pyrt instantly uses his 10 steps of heaven technique to strike. Crash recognizes the move instantly, dodging easily with his hands behind his back while blocking the blow with his sword. Pyrt realizes his clever feint is completely deciphered, as if Crash understands his entire style of swordsmanship. All attacks are blocked in an instant. Pyrt is frozen. He has seen a ghost. He is facing a man who already died once. Crash watches Pyrt, remembering the boy grew up in a frozen region where it snows all year round, a harsh climate where he developed steps that imitate gliding on ice. He even created the 10 steps of heaven technique. His potential easily rivals Annex Glazer. Crash places his blade right against Pyrt's neck, telling him he must grow much stronger. That way, even with his hope crushed, he can still leave a seed behind. Next, Crash delivers the fatal 1-inch punch. The crow is intrigued and Crash wins. Pyrt collapses to the cold ground from the impact, asking if they will ever meet again. Crash recalls saving Pyrt in his past life. He had helped him once before. Back then, the grateful boy swore he would work harder than anyone to protect this world. Crash recalls his complete surprise at such a sincere promise back then. It was his first time hearing such sincere thanks. He replies that they are absolutely destined to meet again at the Magic Academy, even flat on the ground. Pyrt is happy they will be friends. Meanwhile, the second prince confirms that everything has gone exactly as he planned. He believes that using the Night Crows to draw in more nobles, the throne will finally be his. Balask insists she is only returning a favor, but the prince coldly reminds her that he holds her heart, demanding her absolute obedience. Right at that moment, the judge realizes something is wrong. A group of people approaches, interrupting the entire event. The judge shouts a fierce warning, reminding them the second prince is present, but the newcomers announce this is an official imperial matter. They are the feared Black Dragon Knights, leaving the crowd to wonder why this elite order punishing criminals has appeared. Lady Diana then steps forward, declaring the arrest of the second prince on suspicion of his direct involvement in the murder of the fourth Princess Sisley Epiphania. He is detained immediately and begins to protest the arrest. Lady Diana coldly replies that his written assassination order targeting the fourth princess was discovered directly inside the secret Night Crow's hideout. Insisting he never wrote such a thing, he looks to Balask, demanding that she immediately eliminate every single one of these bastards who are framing him. At that exact moment, Sarah Batura steps forward alongside Sisley. Proving none of them were killed, Sarah calmly states that they should forget the murder accusation, since not even the shadow of an assassin was ever seen, yet everyone assumed they died. This leaves Lady Diana in total shock. She realizes Sisley, Epiphania, and Sarah are still alive, completely stunned. Diana desperately wonders what is happening, recalling the night Sarah was supposed to be killed. Sisley's sharp intuition saved them. The princess warned Sarah that they could not trust the royal spy they hired, forcing Sarah to check the intelligence again. She doubted the palace spies could ever betray their trust, but a deeply unsettling feeling overtook her as she ran back to speak with Her Highness immediately. That was when the Black Crow offers Sarah Batura the temporary power of absolute immortality in exchange for her life. Force, the voice of Crash's crow echoes directly inside Sarah's mind. In that instant, she is entirely consumed by the curse. Her eyes slowly reveal. She just acquired this strange new ability. A massive headache hits, leaving her wondering what that crow actually did. Suddenly, Mary Diana appears before her. At that exact moment she plans on faking her own death, Mary Diana confronts her directly. Mary Diana plunges her spear straight through her stomach. If that crow had not granted them the gift of immortality, neither she nor Sisley nor Surly would be standing here. That is why Sarah orders the immediate arrest of the Black Dragon Knights for espionage. Mary Diana realizes her whole scheme is totally ruined. She only brought these knights along, fully believing everyone was already dead. Now, Sarah decides to end Mary Diana once and for all, drawing her blade to face them. Mary Diana watches her own vice captain get slaughtered, wondering how things went so wrong. She literally ordered Ebalast to kill Sarah. Then they would use her body to lure in Surly and Sisley. Yet everyone is standing here acting completely fine, uncovering these spies, and the Black Dragon traitors proves the fourth princess knew everything all along. That is precisely why Surgeon wanted her dead. If she breathes, she remains a massive threat to their future. Mary Diana resolves to kill her right here, summoning Ebalast's beating heart directly into her palm, making him shriek that she is a literal monster. She crushes the organ, forcing Ebalast to attack the fourth princess right now. Suddenly, the heart vanishes from her grip. She quickly realizes it is gone and frantically feels her waist but finds nothing. She failed to kill the princess, failed to secure the second prince, and now, to make matters worse, lost Ebalast's heart. Every single move she made was completely useless. Realizing her absolute defeat fills her with dark, desperate rage. Only one option remains: kill the princess with her own. With the crowd distracted by Ebalast, she finds her opening and she charges, leaping forward. The ground shatters beneath her. Activating her absolute speed technique, she moves at maximum acceleration, thrusting her spear straight towards Surly. She strikes with unbelievable force, desperate to kill the princess, but someone blocks the strike, their massive energies colliding in a violent shockwave. Sarah instantly recognizes the defender. It is Crash Valheim. Mary Diana demands to know how a corpse stopped her. He answers that her foolish mind has not changed a bit since their past life. Stunned, she demands answers. The second prince does not quite grasp the situation, but he sees a clear chance to slip away. In that split second of distraction, Mary Diana is captured. Black Dragon Knights arrest her for attempting to murder the imperial family. Her arrest is declared. Rage consumes her, even with her schemes exposed. She should not have acted so rashly. Desperate, she screams for Surgeon and Arthur to save her. They ask if Crash is okay, but he admits he is struggling. He barely held that blow back. Even utilizing his black flames, his power is far below his peak master tier. Immediately after, orders go out. Investigate possible. They slip away. Under the cover of chaos, they escape. But first, he warns Cicely to be careful. She must watch her own brothers. Then he takes off with Ebalast, ignoring his bloody wounds. Sarah Batura asks what that meant, but Crash is gone before Cicely can thank him. He announces he is heading to the academy, and Ebalast follows closely. She tags along to pay her debt, handing over the golden dragon herb he wanted, asking if he has any idea how hard it was to find. Now that the confrontation is over, he hands her heart back. She really thought he would force her into eternal service. He is clearly different. Unlike other corruptors, he did not use dark energy to block Mary's strike. His black flames are actually born from the extreme poison in his blood. That is why she believed him, thinking he was a fellow corruptor all along. Perhaps she misjudged his kind entirely, but their quiet moment is suddenly cut short by a subordinate's urgent message. His familiar crow shrieks a warning. It is about his fiancée, Bianca. Something terrible has happened to her. A suspicious move. She has vanished without a single trace. The report says an assassin clan has invaded the Hardened Hearts Mountains. His fiancée was right there at that very moment, and she is missing. This explains his bad gut feeling upon meeting the assassin disciple. He turns to Ebalast, warning her that his fiancée is in grave danger. They must leave for Hardened Hearts immediately. She can only question him. She is totally shocked that a dark corruptor would have a fiancé. She remembers rumors about the youngest Valheim son being engaged to them. She cannot believe anyone would marry into such a troublesome family. But the reality is far wilder. He is not a world corrupter. He drops his disguise, admitting that Claude is just a fake name. He introduces himself as Crash Valheim, the youngest son of that famous family. Talk about a massive plot twist. She literally drops her heart in the dirt. Hearing that name, she realizes he is the family's famously useless son. She is completely speechless. Meanwhile, in the freezing cold territory of Hardened Hearts, a temporary camp stands. Lady Jenica is drowning in regret. If only she had been honest about possessing the sun snow mushroom. Then Bianca would have never climbed these dangerous, freezing peaks. Guard asks her why Lady Bianca insisted on searching up there. Jenica explains that the rare mushroom was impossible to find in any market. So she took matters into her own hands to find it alone. Days ago, Jenica warned her that the useless Valheim was not worth it. She told her to go home, but Bianca ignored the warnings entirely. With a cold, blank look, Bianca turned to her and defended him. She snapped that Crash was not useless, asking why Jenica kept following. She insisted others should handle the search, but Jenica had other plans. Jenica finally revealed the sun's snow mushroom so they could both go home. Bitter truth, Jenica has always secretly despised her sister Bianca. Bianca just offered a quiet apology, her small frame trembling with guilt. But in that exact moment, the mad dog emerged, paralyzing Jenica with terror. A dark, malevolent presence fills the air as the killer steps out. His massive axe tears through the freezing air, cutting down several men with one swing. Heads roll as absolute panic sets in, and someone screams for everyone to run. The mad dog laughs, muttering that it is his lucky day while slicing another victim. Another body falls. Run, save yourselves, a desperate voice screams in the dark. Bianca bolts into the woods, screaming at her sister to stay close behind. As they hide, the mad dog sneers. He did not expect such perfect hostages. In this freezing wasteland, the cold-blooded killer begins his deadly hunt. Bianca whispers a reminder about their promise to bring Crash the rare sun snow fungus. But Jenica snaps back, telling her to shut up about that fiancé of hers. She absolutely refuses to lose her life in a miserable place like this. There is still a way out, she insists, pointing to their movement artifacts. They can cross the snow safely, but the killer immediately spots them. He laughs, calling out that he knows they are luring him to the glacial cliffs. Go ahead and try to run, he taunts, as Bianca points to a distant rock. We have to jump, she tells her sister, asking if she is truly ready. One wrong step is death. Talk about an absolutely brutal choice. Suddenly, the mad dog corners them, mocking the little girls for wandering so far. Bianca pulls her sister close, steeling herself for the terrifying leap ahead. The killer lunges forward, but his eyes widen as they actually throw themselves off. Have they completely lost their minds, he wonders, before spotting the ledge below. Saved by a ledge, honestly, the killer finds this incredibly hilarious. He begins climbing down, while Bianca desperately begs Jenica to trust her. Everything will be fine, she promises, but her sister freezes in shock. Then, pure madness, Bianca lunges forward and tackles him midair. They plunge down together. Bianca is gone, but her sister is safe. Jenica repeats the story to the search party. That was the end. The guards mention the deep snow. Maybe she survived the fall. Maybe she is alive, but Jenica only feels suffocating, crushing guilt. If only she had not suggested taking that dangerous cliff path. Her brave sister would never have sacrificed her own life. If she had just been honest about the fungus, none of this happens. Don't lose hope, a guard says. Bianca has to be out there. Crash listens in silence, while Jenica tells the young man to stop talking nonsense. A whole week has passed without a single trace of her. Bianca is a gentle soul who spends her days with books. She cannot survive this mountain alone. Meanwhile, far away in the cold, Bianca lies freezing in the deep snow, whispering her fiancé Crash's name. Desperate and frozen, her only wish is to see Crash once more. Her sister was right, a frail bookworm stood no chance out here. Still, she shivers, muttering the name of her beloved husband, Crash. Weakly opening her eyes, she realizes she fell asleep again. Somehow in this endless white hell, she has held on for days, surviving only on bitter wild nuts and the precious warmth of the solar snow fungus. Limbs numb, she keeps desperately dragging herself up the massive frozen mountain. She stumbles around looking for help, finally reaching a warm area where solar snow fungi grow in massive clusters. She quickly gathers a few. They emit natural heat. Inside a shaky cave, she hides away. Out among the glowing fungi, keeping warm and studying her trusted survival book, she manages to patch up her wounds, but the freezing hunger slowly drains her remaining strength. She honestly doesn't know if she can survive much longer in this wasteland. Still, she holds on to hope that rescuers are coming, remembering a promise to Crash. But the nightmare arrives. The killer dog finally tracks her down and corners her. He sneers that her journey is over. She doesn't even look up. Completely numb, she wanders forward, picking up a tiny nut. She figures a squirrel hid it. Right then, a massive axe flies straight at her. It hits right behind her. She spins around. The tree is falling. The massive trunk crashes down with a deafening boom. She gets blasted back. Somehow she survived. Dazed in the snow, she looks around. Her blank stare remains empty, which absolutely ruins the killer's fun. This indifference deeply annoys him. He never expected Vaughn's fiancée to be this stubborn. If she had just acted like a normal hostage, she might have returned home alive. He grabs her roughly by the neck, spotting a rare hair ornament that looks like it's worth a fortune. But her mind is far away. She just wants to return to Green Pine Mansion. She remembers reading quietly while Crash trained, realizing those peaceful days were changing her. She always thought she was completely empty inside. Then the tears fall. She finally understands what true happiness means. She deeply regrets not appreciating that warm, comfortable life while she had it. She softly whispers Crash's name, and trust me, his entry is absolutely epic. Crash lands a brutal, blindingly fast strike, forcing the beast to let her go. Catching Bianca gently in his arms, he whispers that she did an amazing job. He tells her to leave everything to him now. She is overjoyed but far too weak. He hands Bianca over to Kreen's safe care, pulling off his heavy travel hood. He remembers telling Balask that he couldn't step in and his servants couldn't fight. But saving Bianca comes first. He quickly gets her far away from the danger. He assures her once more that he will handle this. She whispers a quiet thanks. He wraps his hood around her shivering body, immediately drawing his cold steel blade. The wolf growls. Up above, the crow coldly remarks that it won't be helping. Our hero commands Kreen to guard Bianca, ignoring the bird's cynical, distant warnings. The crow reminds him that they cannot interfere and are completely useless in combat. But the protagonist knows exactly what he has to do here. Besides, she already teleported him to this exact spot. The crow issues a warning. Last time he survived on pure luck. This assassin hound is a true monster. It doubts he can win this. He simply responds by unleashing a violent aura. The hound demands to know who he is and why he's getting in the way. Crash coldly orders him to hand something back as his purple energy explodes outward. Confused, the wolf asks what on earth he is supposed to return to him. That hairclip belongs to my wife, Crash says, calling him by his true name. Assassin hound Bergman. Bergman instantly recognizes him as the arrogant brat from before. Valheim lunges forward with his axe, using his fiancée's hairclip to threaten the hero. But as the heavy axe swings down, the protagonist blocks it with incredible speed. Even with his sharp reflexes and sixth sense, he can barely track the opponent's high-level aura. If the villain can take both of them as hostages, the bounty reward will skyrocket tenfold. That is why the wolf decides to capture him as well. Compared to this monster, our hero recently reached the intermediate expert level, blocking each devastating attack with immense difficulty. He retreats to cast a spell, but Bergman's hound refuses to stop attacking, forcing our protagonist to defend against every blow. The young hero continues to block with everything he has, but his defense finally cracks. He takes a direct hit, and his sword gets thrown high into the air. The impact is simply too brutal, ripping the weapon clean from his hands. The protagonist goes flying as his sword clatters onto the snow. Bergman the hound proudly declares the game over, but suddenly the assassin realizes the boy has completely vanished, leaving no scent behind. Before he can react, the hero appears right behind him, charged with energy. He lands a devastating signature move, the 1-inch punch straight into the enemy's stomach, instantly shattering the assassin hound's ribs, but his dull weapon lacks the power to expand his field of control. That is why he decides to end this fight quickly by summoning his powerful flaming sword. Assassin hound Bergman freezes in shock, his eyes widening at this blade's transformation. Suddenly, the enemy activates the ghost snare to completely trap our protagonist. He feels a crushing pressure and doubts he can withstand it. Bergman's hound advances confidently as the helpless boy slowly sinks into the cold snow. The search party is coming, but the assassin plans to end the hero first. Completely trapped in the ghost's snare, things look grim. Reality itself distorts around him, blocking out every single one of his senses. This secret technique manipulates aura perception through sound. His past self would be defeated instantly, but he has actually beaten this spell once before. He relies on his hypersensory perception of the mana flow, activating his mind's eye to resist the attack. This is not his first time. Using this hidden power, the assassin arrogantly questions if he can survive, since his target is paralyzed, but Bergman is a much stronger elite fighter who knows the search party is close. Suddenly, he senses an axe strike coming from his side. His reaction is slow and raw fear grips him as the blade advances. He barely blocks at the last second. The threat to kill the boy before anyone arrived was a total bluff from the assassin, who now retreats in terror as the hero advances. That desperate block exposed a highly unusual opening. Bergman has no idea how long the spell will hold, keeping his distance to avoid danger. Suddenly, the boy breaks free, unleashing a devastating flaming sword. Strike directly at Bergman. The assassin realizes he must tread carefully, or he will die. Our hero remains completely calm despite the brutal threats to chop him to pieces, but the phantom snare suddenly activates again, paralyzing the boy once more. Seizing this chance, the assassin rushes in until his opponent tires out and summons the phantom battle axe. An endless rain of illusory axes falls right upon his head. He closes his eyes and concentrates. He blocks frantically. Still, phantom blades slice deep, cutting his flesh. Watching from above, the crow realizes Crash will die. They should have helped. Ebelak, watching in her bird form, hesitates. Should she try to save him? She fears Bergman's master. He is a mad dog who will seek revenge. He would pursue them to the very ends of hell, so they just watch. They freeze in the snow. Still, fear drives her. She must act. She is a recluse, but she pays her debts. She will not abandon him. Suddenly, the crow strikes her with his wing, forcing her to stay back. He orders her not to interfere. Crash wanted to face this alone. He tells her to trust the very man who saved her beating heart. Crash has the mental strength, but she still fears he will die, and already plans to resurrect his corpse. Meanwhile, Crash hits his absolute limit. He gasps heavily for air, desperately trying to read every incoming attack by spreading his mind's eye, but his energy is completely bone dry. Predicting the moves is impossible now. He must rely on pure instinct. He lashes out wildly with his flaming sword, then phantom axes charge at him with heavy aura, but he knows they are just illusions. The real Bergman is striking from above. Crash looks up at the beast. The giant axe is coming down. Pure shock paralyses him, and his body begins to tremble. He knows this is the end. He must face the cold truth. He is weak, untalented, nothing like the geniuses who grow stronger so easily. But he found a way. He created a method to break this curse. Until now, he hid his fangs, but this is the moment. He shatters a threshold he has never touched. He opens his eyes. Forced breach activates. Instantly, his hair grows and burns like a living flame. He uses flaming erosion and worthy flames to convert the stored poison. The corruption fuels him. He completely surpasses the limits of human strength. But in this state, he can only hold flaming erosion for 3 seconds. Blood leaks from his pores, a clear sign that his body is tearing itself apart. Still, he prepares a devastating strike, declaring this ends right now. Too fast, the killer dog cannot even track his movements anymore. Sensing a lethal threat, the beast reacts by releasing a desperate, illusory scream. Crash charges in to strike, but the wolf's howl echoes out. He aimed for the neck, but that frantic scream threw off his focus. The sound wave, turned into raw aura, distorts his sight completely. Bergman seizes his chance, coating his left hand in a heavy aura. He strikes with wild fury, screaming for the hero to finally die. Inside, Crash's mind's eye warns him. The power is fading fast. The razor claws are closing in on his neck. He activates cursed steel. He refuses to die in this frozen wasteland, tearing Bergman's arm right off. The beast shrieks in sheer agony. Crash opens his eyes, radiating a truly massive power. Krim watches from above, instantly recognizing the nature of this force. In this desperate moment, his focus touches the domain of the gods. Fusing with the world, he is completely enveloped in raging energy. He moves. Moving in a blinding zigzag, cold liquid drops suddenly hit his arm. He stares in shock, looking right through his own muscles, down to the bone. His body appears like an X-ray, his senses reaching their absolute peak. Bergman's mask shatters, total destruction. Crash unleashes one final brutal blow. The hero slices the dog clean in half, erasing his presence completely. His allies celebrate Crash's incredible victory over his shattered opponent. Grim watches in utter shock, stunned by the sheer power of the hero. But wait for the weak to win, a brutal sacrifice is demanded. To overcome such power, Crash pays a heavy price, losing his right arm. He drops to his knees, his severed arm lies there, emitting toxic energy. The companion asks if he is finally satisfied, as blood spills out fast. Crash collapses, strengthless. Buried by cold snow, he still claims the victory. Grim warns they must return immediately, as Ebelox's corpse gathers them up. The journey home begins. If Bianca could feel, maybe things would change. Her gray world might finally have some color. The hero appears in a future vision. She quietly wonders what would be worse, to feel everything or nothing. He warns her that blossoming in her current state would utterly destroy her. She softly asks if he would even care if she died right now. They barely know each other, but Crash says the decision belongs to his family. It was never his choice. Then, DeGrace, head of the Hardened Hearts, snaps. He goes completely mad, beating everyone before taking his own life. Bianca survives. As the lone survivor, the second daughter, Jenna, steps in to save her. Following the tragedy, House Valheim immediately breaks off their alliance with Crash. Their engagement is cancelled. This final meeting is arranged only to say goodbye. Crash knows they will never meet again, telling her to take this warning. He won't be there to help if she simply gives up on living. She stares back. Her cold eyes show total apathy. Then he activates his curse-stealing power. His bare hand draws out and swallows the heavy curse afflicting her. Such a massive curse would neutralize any ordinary doll instantly. He looks up. He gently asks how she feels. Finally, she is freed from her chains. Honestly, escaping the snow doll curse only reveals a terrifyingly cruel reality. As her lost emotions flood back, something deep inside her suddenly snaps. She transforms into a complete monster. 3 years pass and war breaks out. Inside the Ardenhard's territory, they whisper that Starn should be peaceful. But the Ephania Empire keeps pushing, all because of a single rogue prince. He holds dark secrets that could shake the empire, so they act fast. They deploy the deadly Poison King, who quickly loses his mind in battle. His bloody massacre sparks a war, prompting the White Phantom to seek revenge. While they debate the frozen pavilion's isolation, hostile soldiers suddenly strike. These hostile forces raid the front-line supply depot, catching them unprepared. Crash curses their pure carelessness before leaping forward to take them down. He fights them off, but the enemy relentlessly hunts the Blue Generation. Crash flees into the blizzard, his body too corrupted by curses for salvation. Running out of options, he makes a desperate dash for Bianca's fortress. Desperate for help, he pounds on the door, begging her to open up. She opens the door just as the hero conjures massive ice spikes to halt the army on his heels. The frozen spikes pierce through the enemies, and he quickly eliminates them to stay. Live, Bianca opens the door, remarking that it has been quite some time since they last saw each other. She immediately casts ice spells at the approaching men. The sharp spikes take them all down, her freezing magic piercing deep through the enemies. It really has been ages since he and Bianca have seen each other. Now she appears in monstrous, terrifying form, a sword embedded deep in her chest. Suddenly, Bianca collapses in front of Crash, who watches in sheer horror. That fatal wound was inflicted by the poison King's daughter. Bianca asks him to remember the question she asked once before. About what is actually more painful, having emotions or having none. She recalls the day of that incident, when her sister Jenica confessed she never actually hated her. Jenica only loathed herself for feeling hatred, saying that Bianca was not a child who deserved any of that pain. Her sister wanted to be able to express the sadness she felt and shed tears. Back then, young Bianca listened to everything without showing any reaction because she possessed no emotions. She felt completely trapped inside a coffin. Back then, lacking emotions, she simply could not understand the true meaning of those words. It was complex and deeply contradictory. A painful feeling. Even when cold, hardened hearts crumbled and she suffered, she felt nothing. But now that she knows emotions, she finally understands her sister's words. Her sister truly loved her, even while showing hatred. If only her Feelings had awakened sooner. Everything could have been completely different. They could have shared their deep sadness as a family, and this end would not have been the same. Perhaps she and Crash could have stayed together. Now, on her deathbed, she thinks they could have stayed married. Crash watches the tragic scene in silence, overcome with sadness. Back in the present, he wakes up, remembering everything that happened in his past life. Bianca gently presses a hand against her own wounds. She reassures Crash she is right by his side, and the crow is glad he has finally woken up. They realize they are in the Arden Heart House. Bianca asks if his arm still hurts, while Crash asks if she climbed that mountain alone, because if Queen had not warned him, he would never have made it in time. He painfully tries to sit up as memories flash and picks up the snowflake-shaped hair clip that belongs to Bianca. He gently places it in her hair, apologizing for not wrapping the gift first. She thanks him warmly, saying that now she can finally make him a snack. Then Bianca calls out to Crash, wanting to tell him something important. She says she has no emotions, and yet she tried her absolute best to save him. She cannot feel joy, anger, or sadness. That is why she feels so frustrated, unable to stand it anymore, and she does not want to be this way during moments like these. She says she desperately wants to smile and cry by his side. She wants to feel anger with him when the situation calls for it, but she would absolutely hate for his emotions to disappear like hers. If he cannot smile, then she does not want to smile either. Hearing Bianca's heartfelt declaration, Crash breaks into a smile. He says she does not need. The main condition is unlocked for the most important person in Bianca's life, and so, another seal on her curse shatters, allowing him to advance his grand plan to steal her away. This has always been his ultimate goal from the very start. The girl also feels something deeply shifting inside her. He reaches out his hand to Bianca, a smile on his face, promising he will do whatever it takes for her sake. If she could only express her locked emotions, she would hold him tight. She would be weeping tears of joy if the frozen curse did not block out all feeling. At least the world no longer seems so gray, a dark phrase she used to repeat in her past life. Now Bianca is suffering from a feverish cold. He gently asks if she is feeling better, but her blank expression has returned, leaving her struggling to show any real feeling. Just then, Janica Hardenheart asks Crash if she can come inside, and he permits his fiancée's sister to enter. She questions what happened to Bianca's eyes. Janica then explains that their own brother asked her to invite Bianca to lunch, bringing food since Crash is currently unable to move. He finds it pretty bizarre that she wants to act like family now. He remembers that in their past life, Janica did not even spare a glance for her sister, only apologizing much later on, making him wonder if history will repeat itself. Bianca suddenly stands up, looking quite sick. He reminds her that if Janica suddenly tries to play nice, Bianca has no obligation to forgive her and can easily ignore her if she wants to. He promises that when this whole ordeal is over, they will head home together. She quietly tries to process her fiancé's words. Then, out of nowhere, the girl panics. She presses a hand to her face, trying to speak, and uses her own fingers to force the corners of her mouth upward, insisting she is happy and trying to smile. Janica bids goodbye to Crash as they agree to meet again a bit later. He tells Ebel ask to lend him his ears for a moment, wanting to eavesdrop on the conversation between Bianca and her sister. He darkly warns that if they say a single wrong word to her, he will tear this whole place down, regardless of who is watching. The crow mocks him, asking if he really expects to steal its immortality in his broken condition, noting just how arrogant he is for a returner. He warns the crow not to push his luck, since a wound like this can be instantly healed by a saint from the Holy Land. This sacred land of Freeman, one of the 4 great nations, is home to a saint possessing the divine power of resurrection. The crow highly doubts House Val would spend a massive fortune on a saint to heal someone so seemingly useless, suggesting they just replace his shattered right hand entirely. The crow, Krim, tries to decipher what Val truly means by that. He wonders if this is exactly why Val recruited Belaski, the only one who could seamlessly stitch on a new arm. Slinking around in his rat form, Belaski knows it will be quite simple to attach a dead man's limb to the boy. The crow asks if Val intends to use Belaski for everything he is worth, scoffing that regressors are nothing but cold, calculating beasts. Krim questions who gave him this crazy idea and if he actually believes it can work. He calmly reveals it was the sword demon, striking the crow with absolute Shocked, Krim demands to know if he actually tracked down the lost remains of the sword demon, that legendary warrior whose blade once shook the entire continent, a master of the quick draw, famous for executing targets before they could even blink. His corpse is Crimson's most prized asset, and the Crow desperately wants Val to stay far away. But Val coldly states that he must grow stronger, and Krim has no choice but to help him. Just like he helped the sword demon, the Crow refuses, but Val refuses to back down. Insisting he knows Krim truly cares for his people, he then explains that locating the main body of the Crimson Garden is actually quite simple. The legendary garden sees the world directly through the eyes of its members. That is exactly how Krim unconsciously becomes attached. Arthur had the saint with him, healing those subordinates while he tortured them, forcing the Crimson Garden itself to eventually expose its secret location. He remembers thinking it was completely mad, just as Arthur predicted back then. Using this logic to persuade Krim, he mentions the late sword demon, who died of old age, arguing that transplanting that legendary arm onto his own body will bring the ultimate technique back to life. The Crow realizes this is likely what the sword demon would have wanted. Krim finally gives in, telling Val to wait just 2 days. Val thanks him warmly, but the Crow warns him to never use his real name when he wants something from him. With that, the massive problem of his severed arm is finally getting resolved. Now he just has to watch how House Valheim reacts to his latest news. It aligned his story about the arm with the Hardenhearts while worrying about Ariad. He also worries about the butler Ariad, who will soon find his presence in Harden. Despite the rumors putting him at the Green Pine Mansion, if challenged, he will simply tell the butler to mind his own business. But wait, a terrible feeling washes over him. Meanwhile, in another room, Bianca flatly refuses a very demanding request. Her brother tells her to stop acting like a child and hand her engagement over. He wants Jenica to take her place. Mariokin argues that since the useless Crash somehow defeated Bergman, his true power will be a vital trump card for their family, but Bianca refuses to let go of her position as fiancée. It is the one single thing in the entire world she is absolutely determined to protect at all costs. Her brother retorts that she cannot keep it, calling her a cursed girl. She will be cast aside when he gets bored. Angered, Jenica stands up. She tells her brother he is going way too far with those cruel words. He mockingly replies that if she feels so guilty, she should marry him instead. Bianca snaps back, shouting that she does not care about this family at all. There was never a real place for her here, within House Hardenhearts. Her father and brother never cared, so her mind is fully made up. Even if she loses everything, she is going to stay by Crash's side. Mariokin explodes in absolute fury, screaming at her until a sudden visitor arrives. But before Mariokin can dismiss them, he is cut off. Crash walks in, claiming he heard something outside he simply could not ignore. The brother warns him to go back to bed and rest his injuries. But Crash ignores him, bringing up 2 major rumors spreading through the city. One says he saved his fiancée from a beast at the cost of his arm. The other claims the security of the Hardenhearts is absolutely pathetic. They let a direct descendant of House Valheim face such mortal danger. Crash glares coldly, heavily pressure-testing Lord Mariokin with his presence. He asks which rumor the Lord thinks sounds more convincing to the public. The solution is simple. Mariokin needs to let Bianca make her own choices. Mariokin believes the final choice to stay engaged belongs solely to her. Crash wants to leave Hardenhearts. He refuses to abandon Bianca. He does not care about her curse, leaving the Lord completely stunned. Seeing Crash so stubborn, Mariokin finally gives in. He leaves Bianca in his care. Crash then asks if the local priest can truly heal his arm. The results of this treatment will be fully visible in just 2 days. This is a massive opportunity to boost the priest's reputation. Mariokin agrees, promising to send word the moment the results are in. Meanwhile, Jenica notices how much her sister Bianca has changed. She seems genuinely in love. Far away, a mysterious man with a fully stitched arm reads a letter. Staring at the paper, this mysterious white-haired man thinks of Crash. He is the powerful patriarch of the Valheim family. 2 days later, Crash is training. He tries combining the sword demon's quick draw art with his own techniques. He channels his aura directly into the extreme blood immersion poison. But trying to execute these swift movements with just one arm is incredibly difficult. The brutal reality remains, he is useless like this. Even so, he is glad the snow doll's curse successfully stabilized his body. It neutralizes the poison's flow, letting the flaming erosion burn off the worldly corruption. By feeding on this corruption, he can forcefully shatter his physical limits. He can unleash devastating firepower, but this strength demands a heavy price. Once the skill ends, the extreme internal heat leaves his body completely broken. He must find a way to regulate this heat, or it will destroy him. If he keeps this up, his internal organs will burn to ash. To extend the duration, he remembers a man who used a very different power. Someone who wielded freezing cold energy right in the middle of raging flames. That warrior controlled the cold yin energy of the moon to survive. The figure turns, revealing bright red hair and bandages covering his skin. This memory points Crash to his next target, the Flame Emperor, Aslan Agrith. Once his arm is fixed, he plans to steal that powerful curse. Soon, he reaches a massive tree. He immediately recognizes it as the home of Ebelask. Along with the chrome, he knocks heavily on the giant wooden door. Servant number 8 opens it, but Crash is highly confused by her rabbit ears. The interior looks exactly like it did before, making him wonder about her spatial magic. Ebelask appears and announces that everything is ready for his arm transplant. He stares at the sword demon's arm, and honestly, it looks terrifying. She warns him that although the transplant is possible, the pain will be immense. She offers to knock him out if he is too afraid to face it. Crash refuses. He is used to pain and needs to stay awake to guide her. Servant number 8 quickly prepares the gurney and aligns the severed arm. Crash lies down as the rabbit-eared servant holds him tight to prevent any sudden movement. Ebelask steps up and begins channeling her powerful medical aura now. She warns him that the transplant is starting now. The demonic limb immediately begins to react. A wave of pure agony hits him as the flesh and bone begin to fuse. With the arm attached, Ebelask moves to the final, most brutal step. Connecting the active nerves, in that exact second, his vision goes completely white from pain. He screams in agony through the thick bite block, but Ebelask cannot help feeling deeply impressed. He survived the agonizing procedure without blacking out. She snaps at her servant to stop. Staring and release those heavy restraints right now. He had a very crucial reason to survive. He had to stay awake. He used the extreme immersion poison on his arm, causing the ancient flesh to react and immediately shift color. But then the limb starts turning into a twisted, absolutely disgusting shape. If he had fainted, the toxic chemical reaction would have instantly spiraled completely out of control. He needed focus to guide the deadly process and let his aura build up. Now he focuses all his energy to force the extreme immersion poison surging inside his blood. To stabilize, triggering a wild, total regeneration of the dead limb. It looks normal again. Crimson the Crow realizes the grueling process is finally over, and the boy flexes his arm, feeling its massive strength. Crimson suggests testing this brand new limb by practicing the legendary quick draw technique. He asks Ebelask for her private training ground, blackmailing her with a mention of an ancient text called Hakubun, so she begrudgingly agrees, ordering number 8 to lead them directly to the arena. As they walk, he asks the servant what she knows about the sword demon quick draw. Crimson quickly chimed in, mocking his poor knowledge. A self-proclaimed regressor should definitely not be asking such basic questions with mediocre skills. The bird then explains that the demon sword style is completely different, even if it looks like standard swordsmanship. Usually a quick draw relies on gathering deep aura inside the scabbard, then unleashing it at blinding speed, but the sword, the demon style, actually breaks down that gathered energy into tiny, concentrated particles to make the execution incredibly efficient. These tiny energy particles detonate, forcing massive acceleration. That pushes the blade to its absolute limits before leaving the sheath. It literally explodes outward. Talk about dangerous. Crimson asks if he got all of that. He did not. Regardless, he intends to try it out. In real combat using his freshly healed arm, Crimson warns him to just totally surrender to the muscle memory of the limb, promising him it will work. The exact movements of the sword demon are burned incredibly deep inside that muscle flesh. Stepping up with pure confidence, he gets into position to draw his blade. The mastery of Crimson and the demon arm are finally aligning. Now it is up to his raw willpower to replicate that perfect slash. He will swing 1,000 times if he must, and days later, he finally halts. Something is different. An unbelievable pressure of aura begins wrapping around his blade. It feels incredibly heavy, pulsing with concentrated power, making his eyes gleam as he feels the shift. Watch this. He unleashes a devastating slash with the new arm, obliterating the vast earth right before him. Even the highly skilled number 8 can barely track its lightning path. He frowns, realizing the actual demon style draw must be completely invisible to the human eye, as an enormous beam of light explodes outward. He realizes his aura control is the issue, meaning he must head straight back to Green Pine Mansion for deeper answers. He formally thanks number 8 for watching over his practice. She tells him to hold his head high since a single-digit ranking shadow like her knows true power. Meanwhile, Ebelask notices. Crash breaks the silence, asking if training is over before telling Balask he will return to Valheim today, warning her that coming along means she gets captured instantly. Because of that, she needs to stay put right here. She was talking about Valheim's 5 elders, the very ones who tried enslaving her. So he asks if she can stay behind to handle a quick favor. Crash wants her to keep an eye on the King of Poisons, so he does not mess with the hardened hearts. That is her only job. Keep the patriarch of the Kraken family safe. Balask knows it is tough, but she agrees to watch over him anyway. Still, she looks pretty exhausted with all his demands. After all, she is just returning a favor. Servant number 8 asks if her mistress is truly okay with this decision. Balask admits that, under normal circumstances, she would have followed him anywhere. But staying by his side any longer might make her start seeing her old, lost companions in Crash. He is just too similar. Besides, the sheer chaos that follows a man like him is dangerous. She would honestly rather just stay home and rest, yet she worries. If he lands in real trouble, she promises to show up and help. Back at the mansion, the butler warmly welcomes Master Crash home. Crash immediately asks if anything happened while he was away. The main house was asking questions, but the butler handled it perfectly. He lied, claiming the young master was off spending time with Bianca. He acted like a careless servant, so they would find out on purpose. The main family suspected nothing, blamed him for the slip-up, and fired him, completely cooling the heat. Crash is highly impressed with this. His butler is easily one of the most efficient men around. But things are about to get complicated. The chief butler is arriving soon. She oversees all butlers and evaluates the direct descendants of Valheim. Her final scoring determines exactly how the heirs are treated. She is a massive headache, but he absolutely needs the family influence. He must steal the dark lunar physique from the Flame Emperor Aslan. To do that, he has to prove his raw power right now. Meanwhile, Lord Darling left a message demanding the materials immediately. Crash thanks Ariat, but the butler has one final piece of news. Lady Charlotte is back. Actually, she is already inside Crash's room. Right on cue, she leaps straight out of his second-story window. Float stepping down on raw energy, she smiles at her brother. He knew she would show up, but this is still a shock. She complains she almost died of sheer boredom waiting around for him. Meet Charlotte, the dangerous 4th daughter of the Valheim family. Charlotte mockingly asks if she should have given him more time. But looking at her, Crash suddenly feels an overwhelming pressure. He realizes she has likely already surpassed the master level entirely. She laughs it off as a joke, bringing up his latest heroic stunt. She heard all about him fighting to save his precious fiancée. Charlotte walks over to Bianca, who is still fast asleep. Seeing her brother retreat, Charlotte jokingly reassures him that she is not here to steal his wife. She tells him to drop the hostile glare, but Crash admits he is just stunned by this sudden intrusion. Getting his house invaded without warning is quite a shock. Charlotte merely scoffs. She laughs at him, calling this place his own, then releases a sudden wave of heavy energy. The crushing pressure is meant to intimidate her little brother. She reminds him this mansion belongs to the Valheim family, which means it belongs to her too. She is simply visiting her childhood home, yet he treats her with such a pretentious attitude. Besides, she thought they were close. After all, she did keep his little secret. He asks if she is angry, but her next words stop him cold. She knows. She knows about his contract with a god to reach the mid-specialist rank. She smiles, remarking that Crash has grown up. He realizes something major. She has awakened her high-tier perception, a mind's eye that sees through everything. She senses a dark, hidden presence inside him. Worry starts to creep in. Now he finally gets why the assassin hound failed to defeat her. This is no ordinary mind's eye. She possesses the legendary Star Eye, a rare power that exposes the world's deep corruption. That is why the monster's illusions were completely useless against her. He pictures their clash, a battle where the enemy's illusions were totally useless. This means she has already seen through his current state. She knows about his black flame, which is supposedly visible only to the corruptor. Only the corruptor himself or his devoted servants should be able to spot this dark energy. Almost nobody in this world can identify the mark of corruption so easily. Suddenly, the pieces fall into place. He remembers the black star on the hound's neck. But there is a crucial difference. He is not like those mindless monsters. They are the corruption itself, while he merely has his aura fused with it. To an ordinary observer, his unique state would look like a simple curse. On the surface, nothing has changed since he got back, but he cannot relax. He knows that the moment Charlotte realizes he can control this corruption, she will execute him. But right now, she just wants to see if he shares the same greedy ambitions. She is determined to test him, to see if he harbors that same dark greed. She tells him to leave Bianca behind and accompany her to the training grounds. She wants to test his combat skills, her aura already flaring up around her body. She slowly draws her blade, releasing a wave of immense, suffocating pressure. This is getting wild. Crash never imagined he would actually have to fight his sister. She warns him that holding back will only make her furious, demanding a real fight. She expects him to attack with everything he has got, hoping he learns some new tricks. Crash reluctantly draws his own sword, letting his demonic arm grip the hilt. He launches forward, charging at her with incredible speed, but she just taunts him. 3 minutes pass in a flash, yet he still hasn't even channeled his aura. She finds it odd that he insisted on striking first, yet he is just standing there. Since he refuses to make a move, she decides to take the initiative. She charges forward to dominate the duel, completely untouched by his defense. Crash raises his blade high, channeling massive energy through his body. At the exact same time, her aura surges to its second stage. Then he unleashes his signature move, the devastating Heavenly Sword Strike. The clean hit knocks the wooden sword right out of his sister's hand. Her wooden sword shatters in her hand. Unfazed, she immediately shapes a brand new weapon out of pure energy. Condensing her aura, she proves her supreme mastery as a swordswoman while Crash conjures an eerie purple magic in his hand, using his strange power. A creeping mouth begins to form on his skin. He unleashes the black hood directly at his sister, Charlotte Valheim, but at this level he still cannot pierce her absolute defense. Her energy blade strikes him right on his hand, yet he refuses to back down. Even so, the Dark Hood's curse successfully infects her. In that split second, his blade stops mere inches from her throat. He quietly declares she is officially captured, sealing his hard-fought victory. To win, Crash relied on the Black Hood's dark magic against his own sibling. He lacked the raw strength to break her shield, but he managed to let the curse slip through anyway. She admits the trick completely caught her off guard. She realizes Crash actually disrupted the flowing current of her inner power, that divine energy, a massive barrier given to her by the gods. Cloaks her body constantly. It is an absolute armor that no ordinary opponent has ever managed to bypass. Crash is the very first to do it, even while holding back his real sword skills. Honestly, if that strike had hit her with full force, she might have actually died. Imagine that, a master losing to someone so young. She talks with Ariadne, deeply worried about Crash's arm, which somehow seems fully recovered already. Crash tells them he plans to attend Ray Hearn Academy. But the exhausting duel immediately knocks him out cold. With only 3 weeks left until the term starts, she figures there is still enough time, deciding to head out early and wait for his arrival. Days later, at the Danfelian Alchemy workshop, the magical medicine is finished. Darling proudly presents the bottle, and Crash praises her superb craftsmanship. Meanwhile, Krim asks where they can find a quiet training area. The Talking Crow requests to use her private space, and the alchemist readily agrees to the request. Crash then asks about the special medicine, taking it in his hand. Crash Valheim prepares to sit and meditate. Swallowing the pill seems easy enough. But Krim's sudden, suspicious laughter makes him pause. Without hesitation, he swallows the mysterious elixir, known to many as the Crying Dragon Pill. Legend says a dragon must roar 9 times before being born, and just like muscles tearing to rebuild, this pill tears down his physical strength. The ultimate goal is absolute evolution. He claims he is well acquainted with pain and will survive this ordeal to grow stronger. Right then, the Dark Crow lets out a loud, mocking cackle. A blazing heat begins to boil inside Crash, but the feeling is still manageable. He remembers surviving inside a literal furnace before, so this current temperature feels quite mild. Laughing it off, he mocks the bird for doubting his endurance. The curious crow is left wondering what kind of brutal life he must have lived. But Crash simply refuses to elaborate. He focuses deeply, drawing in the energy. He draws in as much power as possible, absorbing it faster the more he concentrates. Krim looks on, noting that his focus is absolutely mind-blowing. After all, Crash is someone who survived the torment of his internal organs burning, and his nervous system being completely rebuilt. Of all the returners Krim has met, Crash is by far the most unique. This insane tolerance feeds his obsession with his goals. And if he ever collapses, Krim is ready to pull him back up, just as they both once swore. A deep, heavy feeling begins to spread through him. He feels submerged, finally waking up to the true form of his aura. Once a mere puddle, it has now grown into a vast lake. Before, he could only refine the quality of his energy with secret techniques. There was always a clear limit to how much total energy he could store. But after taking the Weeping Dragon pill, he instantly leaps to the rank of a high-level expert, completely skipping the middle steps to stand directly among geniuses. He feels incredibly satisfied. To finally stand on the same level as those prodigies, he begins testing his newly expanded aura, controlling every drop. The crow comments on his stubbornness, noting that using Ignis to burn away the pill's impurities was actually a smart move. Crash replies that being stubborn is his only choice. Otherwise, he stands absolutely no chance against stronger opponents, and that includes the crow, Krim himself. Hearing his words, the crow readily agrees. Just then, Darling pops up, saying Bianca wants a word, asking if he is finally done with his training. His fiancée decides she wants to keep him company and shows up right behind him. He gently tells her she should wait somewhere more comfortable while he works out. Watching them, Darling sighs and reflects that having a beautiful fiancée must be pretty nice. He jokingly suggests that maybe he should get engaged to Charlotte too. When Crash glares and threatens him, Darling simply replies with another playful tease. Darling then looks at him with admiration, asking if he will enroll at Rona Academy next year. Getting a firm nod. Hearing the answer, Darling decides to register early, just so Crash will have to call him his senior. He explains that he missed out on attending Charlotte's academy last year because their standards are insanely high. Students are only allowed to advance if they pass every single difficult exam. He then asks if Crash is truly ready to enroll. To him, this is the ultimate chance to stay close to Charlotte and Crash, but Crash is skeptical, asking if his sister is even attending since he thought she was busy fighting corruption across the world. Darling admits it is mostly a wild hunch, and he has no clue if Charlotte will actually show up this year. He suddenly hugs Crash, telling him not to feel lonely because time will fly by before they meet again at school. Crash recoils in absolute disgust, ordering Darling Dan Felion to get away from him this instant. Right then, the head maid arrives for an unexpected visit. She formally announces that Lord Crash has returned to the Green Pine Mansion. Turning to a subordinate, she issues a sharp order. He is to inform the entire mansion that Lord Crash's critical examination will take place in 1 week. She stares coldly at her reflection in a polished sword, her expression filled with deep anticipation. The head maid takes her leave, letting out a quiet, restrained chuckle. She admits she is eager for the test and wants to see exactly how much Crash has grown. Back at the Green Pine Mansion, Crash is met with quite a surprise when he stands face to face with the head maid herself. He greets her formally, asking how she has been, and reveals this imposing woman is actually his great-aunt, Catherine Valheim. He notes he already heard about having to retake his test even after defeating that master-level killer dog. He attributes that hard-fought victory to pure luck, knowing he cannot avoid this confrontation. She calmly presumes that if he cannot match Charlotte's legendary level, he will surrender the position of family head. The sudden threat of losing his birthright leaves him completely stunned, him totally shocked. With the world's looming destruction by dark corruption, power finally matters more than bloodlines, kicking off a wild era where the strongest commoners can become emperors. Still, nobody can imagine that grand future right now. The present situation is honestly pretty laughable. He actually starts laughing, leaving Catherine completely confused by his reaction. He asks if running Valheim is even a worthy test of strength. Without waiting, he decides to go ahead with the family exam anyway. His arrogant tone deeply offends her. He feels completely different now. He calmly claims he has already reached the expert level, guaranteeing his success. He only needs to make a master take one single step back to pass. He does not think she will stop at just one step, but reassures her anyway. With a cold expression, the young hero slowly begins to draw his sword. His great aunt gasps at his stance as the blade slips out. It is an incredibly fast quickdraw, mirroring the sword demon's stance. That monster was unmatched in life, but he is long dead. She stands shocked. She watches his fluid, impossibly fast movements in absolute disbelief. A heavy, violent aura suddenly explodes, rattling the inside of his scabbard. She clearly sees the dark phantom of the sword demon looming right behind him. Now everything makes sense. Gritting his teeth, he exhales slowly. He releases an incredible burst of mana as he finally unsheathes the blade. Unleashing his first technique, he fires a massive strike. A wave of devastating energy roars forward, forcing Catherine to draw her weapon. Firmly gripping her sword, she silently admits his move was impressive. Where did he learn this? She raises her blade, bracing to block. With a swift, defensive motion, she intercepts the young man's attack. With a single, powerful slash, she dispels the wave, realizing he changed. The massive collision creates a roaring shockwave. She smiles, completely unharmed. But wait, because right in that exact second, something shocking happens. Her ancient, legendary sword suddenly cracks, shattering into tiny pieces. Staring at the broken metal in utter disbelief, she declares he passed. She nods, officially confirming his success in the exam. She offers brief congratulations, but before she can step away, he stops her. Wait, he says, I want to join the Sekai Knight Order of Valheim. Specifically, the division stationed at the Red Magic Tower of Halgrim. She questions why he wants a mid-level order, but his gaze confirms it. Staring deep into his cold eyes, she tries to decipher his plans. She says she must consult the Knight Commander first, and he bows. Exhausted, he collapses onto the dirt after learning about Charlotte. A booming voice echoes nearby, revealing that she endured 7 steps. It is his father, head of the Valheim family, Marshal Emperor Balrog. His crushing presence fills the room. The boy's doubt is gone. He tells Crash he has grown, ordering him to rest. The young man wonders why his father came all this way for that. But Balrog simply announces they are returning straight to their territory. 3 weeks later in Halgrim, the bustling city of the Red Magic Tower. The young master and Bianca explore the city, checking out the local markets. These arrogant magic supremacists. He already knows this place from old books, the Red Magic Tower where the legendary Flame King resides. Bianca knows him well since he is one of the 10 strongest mages. To ever lead the tower, it is also home to the absolute most dangerous. Of the 3 regressors, the one who kept her memories and reached her peak the fastest, the Red Witch Abela possesses all the magical knowledge from before her regression, meaning it is only a matter of time before she recovers her mana to become a great mage again. He cannot let her realize that he is also a fellow regressor, so he must leave as soon as his business here is finished. He slips into a famous hidden shop, known to only a select few for its incredible daily food. There he approaches Lelina to discuss the master's potion, a maid. Serving a slan of the Egret family, he immediately notices she has not changed at all. She quietly hopes Master Aslan will be pleased, while the crow notes that this bright-haired maid is indeed Lelina. He has already ordered Crimson to shadow the girl with the bright hair to gather more details. While they wait, they decide to grab some food. Afterward, he escorts Bianca back and waits for Crim. Right on cue, the crow comes. Flying right back in, he asks how the scouting went, and the clever bird starts to report. Apparently, after the chaos at the mansion, the grandson of the Flame Emperor, Aslan Igrath, took his own life. The grim face of Aslan is revealed after the tragic act. Panicked people rush to cut the rope. The exact second, they find his lifeless body hanging. A young girl weeps in absolute despair upon seeing the body of Lord Aslan. His grieving mother begs them to let her join him, crying out that she has no reason left to keep living. Later, the girl offers some scraps of food to the crow, but the attempts on his life keep piling up. 2 weeks ago it was poison, then a hanging. If this keeps going, the very next attempt might actually end him. Suddenly, a mysterious voice calls out, offering to help solve her problem. She demands to know who is there. Noticing her crow, Crim looks a bit fatter, a clear sign someone has been feeding him. Our protagonist steps forward, accompanied by his own crow, and introduces himself as Crash, the youngest son of the Valheim family. She immediately recognizes the name of the most powerful martial arts family in all of Starlung. She questions why the heir of such a prestigious noble house is eavesdropping on her conversation. He claims he just overheard by chance and honestly believed he could be helpful. He then reveals the real reason behind Aslan's deep anguish, that total loss of his will to live is because Dorothy, a student at the Magic Academy, has completely disappeared. She is utterly stunned by this revelation, since only a tiny handful of people knew that secret. Crash presses on, questioning why they would hide the sudden disappearance of an ordinary girl. It is pretty clear that something highly unusual is going on. From another angle, he notes that the world's corruption and its mutated beasts are constantly evolving. Because of this, dangerous forbidden zones like the Spirit King's forest have expanded rapidly, but the confused maid still does not understand why he is sharing all of this. He explains that the Spirit King's forest mutated and birthed a unique being, revealing that this is actually Dorothy's true identity. That is exactly why the deputy head keeps her entire existence a secret. The girl then asks why she is being told all of this when she is just a simple maid. Crash replies that he watches her daily, seeing her travel to a distant hall, worrying for Aslan through it all. She is all alone. Still, he believes finding someone like her is their only hope to save Lord Aslan. Crash reveals a secret. Even if Aslan does not know it, he was once saved by him years ago. Aslan dragged him out of the roaring flames simply because he refused to lose him. To repay that favor, he asks her to aid Lord Aslan, promising he will bring Dorothy back from the Spirit King forest in just a few days. Spirits are twisted, corrupted monsters threatening the world from the dark forests. On the outskirts of Helgrim, the red magic tower stands as a massive barrier, fighting right on the front lines. To stop the forest from creeping forward, the family head wonders why he was selected to go in under the cover of a forbidden investigation. Safana, the team's fourth-class investigator, is being closely watched by the main house. Our hero tells them he plans to join the Sekai Knights in Helgrim, giving the family yet another massive headache to deal with. He receives his investigator's badge, and she warns him that even if his assistant is highly capable, there are restricted zones where unauthorized people simply cannot go. She introduces herself as Milces, a third-class investigator from Saphira, and lets them know she is currently traveling alongside Cloud, a fourth-class combatant. The glowing dust from the spirits is getting thicker, meaning they must tread carefully as they enter the woods. Our hero senses something has been off since yesterday, a nagging feeling that is completely out of the ordinary and deeply unsettling. Legend says that long time ago, a servant of the Ygritte family set a wild spirit free from the forest. That servant and the spirit roamed the land, starting the tale of the very first spiritualist. Our hero instantly recognizes this legend of the fearsome chaos spirit and its partner. Right then, a terrifying monster lunges from the shadows behind him, snarling the name Agni. The old tale says that when the first spiritualist passed away, the chaos spirit could not comprehend it and felt completely abandoned. It went absolutely wild, wiping a massive city off the map. One single night, the Ygritte family took the blame, and ever since, making spirit contracts has been forbidden. Now they are treated as nothing but monsters to be wiped out. Kryn mutters that his only goal is to head back to the woods and reclaim his true, original form, but the beast has clearly lost its mind. Now only blind rage remains inside this chaotic entity. The subordinate is just a kid, so he decides to handle this mess alone. Unfortunately, his current body lacks any real fighting skills, leaving him no choice but to run. Sharp attacks are pummeling the beast, but get this, he realizes running is totally unnecessary as he strikes back with his sword. After all, he personally crushed the chaos spirit in his past life. He even thanks the monster for leading him right to the edge of the woods. He charges forward, letting his sharp sixth sense guide his blistering assault with a sword of blazing fire. Before he regressed, he struggled since only skill attacks worked. Now, though, he wields Igni's, the fiercest fire of all, turning absolutely everything it touches to ash. He must strike immediately, before this world decays and the dark spirit of chaos grows any stronger. The heavy blow hits the green monster, which instantly begins to writhe in agony. Unlike before, a single clean hit is more than enough to split the beast clean in half. He quietly realizes that this spirit was actually far weaker than he anticipated. Its journey through the forest must have partially purified it, allowing him to absorb the power of the spirit of chaos, including its incredible regenerative ability. The beast finally dies as its core shatters, and he absorbs its remaining essence with his specialized skill. Suddenly, he can freely drain corruption without destroying it. He obliterates it completely, and the core is now fully consumed. His special Black Hood skill captures the curse of Agni, locking it into his palm. It assimilates completely, and he summons Crimson Garden to accompany him on this journey. During this mission, the fading beast whispers a final farewell, calling out the name of Agni one last time. She desperately wanted to speak with him again, having waited all these years because she believed Agni would never truly abandon her. Thinking of Agni, a deep sadness washes over her as she fondly remembers warm time when he used to hold her. Watching this, Crimson Garden laments the loss. He chooses not to step in, simply observing the world through his various subordinates. He cannot forget Agni. He wonders if her presence still lingers and if that is why Crimson came to see him. He suggests that instead of worrying about a fleeting mortal subordinate, Crimson should have been looking after him instead. The entity replies that for that to happen, he should have actually relied on the support of others. He quietly admits his ignorance and offers a soft apology. With his regrets voiced, he vanishes completely, leaving the crow feeling noticeably lighter. Lelina asks the bird if he needs food and if he can locate Lord Aslan. She also asks if he found a way to find Dorothy, which he quickly confirms. To summon her back, they will need the full cooperation of both Lelina and Aslan. He offers an artifact powerful enough to bypass the defensive magic of the mansion. Under the cover of night, he slips quietly into the room of Aslan, because Aslan possesses the rare dark lunar physique. His day and night cycles are completely reversed. Wait, someone is coming. He hopes it is Dorothy, but our hero enters instead. The poor man is utterly exhausted from chronic insomnia. He asks him directly if he wants to see Dorothy again. Aslan Igret answers instantly that he must. The hero promises he can grant this desperate wish, but under one major condition. Talk about desperation. Aslan promises to pay any price, sealing their dark bargain. First, Aslan is required to completely surrender his precious dark lunar physique. Afterward, he must promise to lay down his life inside the spirit forest. In exchange for this ultimate price, the hero will bring Dorothy back to life. Surrendering his unique constitution and agreeing to a deadly sacrifice is the only way. Only after these harsh terms are met will Dorothy return from the grave. Back into a tight corner, Aslan grimly wonders if he is dealing with a demon. The hero remarks that is quite rude, since a real devil would be far crueler. Aslan admits he was already prepared to die, making the sacrifice meaningless to him. He considers this contract entirely fair, but questions if the hero truly understands the true, terrifying weight of the dark lunar physique he is asking for. The hero remains completely unmoved, reiterating his demands without a single shred of hesitation. To see Dorothy again, Aslan must face his inevitable demise in the woods. Cornered and desperate, the exhausted noble can only view him as a scheming monster. The hero chuckles, calling the insult unearned given his remarkably generous trade offer. Despite his fears, Aslan extends his hand and firmly seals their fateful pact. While demanding more details, back in his room, young Aslan Igret trembles. He is an heir to the noble Igret family, masters of fire magic, yet he is completely unable to wield it. Due to his dark lunar physique, because of this, they strip him of his succession rights, leaving him unloved by his family. His grandfather harshly scolds Agatha, the boy's mother, for insisting Aslan is still family and cannot lose his birthright. He coldly corrects her, calling her acting head Agatha. Igret demanding to know if she will let the family and their magic tower crumble. Just to coddle a useless boy, he reminds her this is all because she married a man with dark yin energy. He then brings up whispering rumors of a girl named Bella in the Red Magic Tower, a prodigy with immense talent for fire magic. He suggests that if she does not plan to have another child, she must adopt this gifted girl instead. Before leaving, he demands to know if Agatha Igret understands his orders. Then he turns to Aslan, calling him a completely useless boy. He mutters that if the kid had even half of Bella's talent, he could be the heir. Little Aslan desperately promises to work much harder, hoping his grandfather will finally accept him, but his mother warns him that simple effort is not enough. she coldly reminds him that his grandfather even eliminated his own son, Aslan's father. From now on, she says, he must fight as if his very survival depends on it. From that day on, to keep Aslan from being discarded, acting head Agatha began to treat her beloved son with brutal harshness, and that is exactly why, years later, Aslan became that bandaged man screaming for vengeance, and honestly, you can't blame him. His entire body was completely covered in heavy cloth, driven solely by family pride. His grandfather moves to seek revenge on the Flame King, who stole everything. After burning away that dark physique alongside his own body, Aslan abandons his family entirely, rising as the Emperor of Flames to surpass his grandfather. Aslan's mother desperately flees the chaos, while the ruthless grandfather tries to eliminate his grandson. Suddenly, a figure leaps right over his horse. With a massive sword, they strike hard, blocking the Flame King's devastating blow and saving Aslan's life. He moves instantly to shield the boy from the incoming fiery blast. Drawing a colossal blade, he flings Aslan far away from the danger. Right at that moment, Lelina catches the boy, saving his life. She stands tall alongside the Crow Queen, revealing that she has a hidden letter from Crash in Dorothy's glowing crystal. Aslan Ygritte pulls the note from Lelina's pocket. It tells them to follow the crow to a shimmering lake and drop the crystal inside, where the Spirit King's egg will bring Dorothy back to life. Yet Lelina still looks deeply troubled. She explains that stealing the crystal only required luring the acting chief away, Aslan. Ygritte wonders if Crash is okay. Crash suddenly appears unharmed, gripping his sword. He admits he cannot understand why Aslan wants his dark lunar physique, but promises to hand it over anyway. He urges him to take the power and starts releasing the dark energy. Instantly, all the ancient seals shatter, letting our protagonist absorb the heavy curse. Amazingly, Crash stands there without a single scratch, blade ready. He insists that the boy take the power right now, unleashing the dark lunar physique in a massive vortex of raw energy. Power erupts as the heavy chains shatter, releasing his ability. The head of the family, the Flame King, is frozen in pure shock. He realizes this young man's energy has suddenly surged, and he's stunned to recognize the supposedly worthless failure. From the Valheim family, the young man just smiles, confirming his name is Crash. Then he coldly adds that he's a friend of Aslan. The Flame King can barely process this massive, unexpected surge of power, asking who this intruder really is. Crash Valheim introduces himself, leaving the old man completely stunned. He knows him only as the disappointment of his house, and to make matters worse, he's close with his own grandson, Aslan Ygritte. The Flame King starts laughing at the claim, mocking that this sinister energy is nothing but a condensed curse. He says he's already busy dealing with his grandson and tells Crash to get lost. He has no interest in fighting. But wait. Crash blurs behind him in a flash, reminding him that he is indeed one of the 10 strongest in the entire world, and yet he launches an attack straight into the old man's back, mocking him for ignoring a rookie like that. Crash laughs, noting that both he and Aslan only ever learn things the hard way, by taking a beating first. Meanwhile, far from the chaotic battle, Aslan gently places Dorothy's crystal in the lake. Lulina urges the young master to hurry, since Crash is busy buying him a real chance to defeat the Flame King. He clutches the crystal tight, remembering how his spell count never mattered. Casting fire magic was simply impossible for him, rendering him a disgrace to his entire household. He felt utterly worthless back then, but now he finally feels useful. To Dorothy, however, he was amazing. She always asked if he was some kind of genius. In his memories, the girl asks if he's a genius, noting that even with the same formulas, her magic was exceptionally stable. He would tell her anyone at the academy could do that, but she insisted she was the failure. That is why she begged Aslan and Igor to teach her the forbidden grimoire spells. In exchange, she bought them meals from her favorite restaurant. Still, he felt like a total failure himself because he could not cast real magic. To him, Dorothy was an absolute mystery. He often wondered why she wanted to learn magic so desperately. She thought it was fun, but he didn't share that joy. When she asked why he even studied it, he answered that it was only natural, being born into such a prestigious family. But she argued that magic is too hard to force on kids who honestly hate doing it. In the very beginning, Aslan also found magic fun, and his mother always supported him. In his memories, she would smile and tell him that this magic would eventually become a beautiful, irreplaceable part of his life, just like Dorothy. He had loved magic as a child. It was because of her that he could finally love the power he had come to detest. He taps her shoulder, whispering her name. The moment she turns around, he kisses her gently, declaring his feelings. Her face flushes completely red. She stammers that he is doing things completely out of order, but to him, she was his entire reason to live. Now her signature paper airplane is burning. This girl taught him everything about love, remaining the most precious person in his life until her very last breath. Even in her final sacrifice, she was happy knowing she saved Aslan. Screams fill the air. Agatha asks if her son is okay. The spirit involved in that horrifying terrorist attack is finally sealed inside the crystal, but he insists that Dorothy was innocent and was trying to stop the attack. He explains how she saved the students when they set fire to the academy. She was the one who evacuated everyone and kept him safe. Still, the crowd is furious that he is defending a spirit. They cannot believe his words. It is shameful coming from an egret. His mother begs him to understand, but he just keeps crying for Dorothy, staring down at his reflection in the lake. He suddenly begins to see Dorothy's hair. Finally, her body emerges from the water. He pulls her close, crying out that she is the person he loves most in this world. Now they see it. The Walrun are spawning another monster. The Flame King admits his speed is pretty impressive for a novice. He is basically at master class already, but he cannot allow this boy to go any further. Just as he prepares to strike, a massive crash erupts behind them. A crow swoops down, bringing news to Crash. The spirit is awake. That brutal 3-second body penalty is neutralized. All thanks to Aslan's dark lunar physique. Not only does he maintain his incredible, raw strength, but he also compresses his power to sustain it for 3 more seconds. Driven by Aslan's curse, he unleashes his strength on a totally different level. Searing heat burns through him, but he refuses to back down now. He is not finished yet. The Flame King Patriarch watches in pure disbelief as he realizes Crash's body is pushing past its absolute limits. He triggers Flaming Erosion second form, striking with the celestial sword of flaming destruction. Pitch black fire erupts once again as he charges forward, blade in hand. Talk about a massive clash. Their blades collide in a brutal struggle, sending a massive wave of fire roaring outward. Crash finishes the strike, but his strength starts to fade. Still, the Flame King breaks through his magic barrier, delivering a sharp, painful cut to our young hero. He is a direct descendant of the Valheim and Aslan's close ally. Crash mutters that knows him a bit too well. Seeing him blade, the Flame King recognizes his immense potential. This boy's name will soon echo across the entire world. Standing by his side, he could easily lead the next generation of warriors, bringing immense glory to the Egret family. While searching for Abela, grandson found someone extraordinary. An ice barrier rises between them. Aslan warns that staying there is incredibly dangerous now. Is suicidal. The old king senses something is off, but with his sword shattered, Crash urges him to run. Does he know how many people die if this castle falls? He tells Adolf. Egret, the proud Flame King, leaving the raging spirit entirely in his care. Adolf lets out a desperate, angry laugh, completely furious at the boy for running away. Just like that, Crash the Crow and their allies vanish. Adolf demands to know what he meant, but the parting words are plain and simple. If the castle collapses, countless innocent lives will be lost right here. He is sticking to his decision, dumping the massive spirit on the old ruler's lap while everyone else makes their final, frantic escape. Leaving the area behind, the entire group and their horse step into a glowing teleportation circle. Liliana warns him this is what he gets for being so reckless. She points out he stands 0 chance against one of the 10 strongest fighters in the world. But the hero just smiles. An opportunity like this does not come around every day. Aslan steps up, admitting he now owes the protagonist a massive favor. He asks what comes next. He reveals his dark lunar physique is officially gone. Now, he plans to make a change. He will return to training his family's fire magic, choosing a much harder path forward. He knows the Patriarch will never accept it, but he is no longer facing this battle alone. With Dorothy back by his side, the hero chuckles, calling him stubborn before offering a suggestion. He tells him to enroll in Ruran Academy next year to escape his messy family problems. There he can build his strength. Aslan agrees he must grow powerful enough to protect Dorothy. The hero smiles, promising to help him out because that is exactly what real friends do. Hearing those words, Aslan and Grig feel truly grateful to have found such a loyal companion. As they say their farewells, the hero looks over at Liliana, wondering why she is tagging along. She admits she simply did not want to disrupt Aslan and Dorothy's sweet emotional reunion. But then she quickly shifts focus to something much more serious between them. She sincerely thanks him for saving Master Aslan, promising she will never forget his kindness. Getting a bit shy, the hero downplays it, telling her to stay safe out there. He bids her farewell, fully aware that she now carries a heavy debt of gratitude to him. Thinking back to his past life, he decides this was the absolute least he could do. Back home in his private room, Bianca tells Crash to open his mouth. The talking crow notes that he pushed himself so hard, he literally shattered his own sword. But the hero shrugs, he only did what was absolutely necessary to survive the fight. It is finally time to seek out a weapon that can withstand his intense, flaming erosion. The crow has a great tip, sharing a location famous for forging legendary gear. Their next destination is the Maze Palace, a dangerous location the hero already knows quite well. Ancient engineers built this magical palace to forge weapons powerful enough to rival the dark corruption of the mechanical palace, all crafted by a legendary dwarf. Known as the World Eater, this palace constantly mines and processes rare ores. On its own, crafting endless treasures that attract greedy adventurers. From every corner of the world, all gathering to scavenge the magical byproducts and eventually building the massive city of Lavara. The deeper explorers venture, the rarer the loot gets. This forces people to form strong guilds, yet absolutely nobody can get past the 8th floor. A terrifying ghost haunts the area, endlessly wandering while carrying his own severed head and a legendary sword. This specter is Rakuten, the former respected leader of the Black Lions. Bound by the magical energy animating the entire palace, he simply cannot die. He wields the legendary sword Amaboshi, forever guarding that deadly 8th floor. In his past life, Locken got lucky and found it, only to die inside the forbidden area where Charlotte rested, but this timeline, it will be completely different. He will personally crush Rakuten and claim that legendary sword. Before his regression, he wasted an entire painful year exploring this maze alongside Annex and his active group. They rushed over after hearing rumors about Locken, but only encountered a massive piece of trash claiming to be the absolute king. That bastard wasted a whole year of their lives. He was the hidden puppet master, controlling the branches and launching ambush attacks. Anik warns that his fragile, broken body will not hold out much longer. They need to get moving, but Anik keeps torturing him without showing any mercy. She argues that Crash is supposed to be kind, though he is just trash. He tried to eliminate them first, so now she is teaching him a painful lesson. Since this place is lawless, there is no punishment for it. They knew the risks when they decided to mess with the Guardians. This entire mess started because of that incredibly arrogant kid from the Fendel Road faction. The one who swore to defeat Hakuten warns him not to get arrogant. But the hero retorts that it is their own fault, nobody wants to join their group. Fendel is the leader of this faction, and he calls himself a king. He is just a spoiled brat who has not changed at all with the new timeline. He is still acting incredibly self-righteous, constantly claiming to be kind while loudly demanding apologies. Fendel claims the hero has no chance of winning at his current level. But the hero replies that being a near master is already pretty impressive. He even goes so far as to offer him a recommendation for the Order of Valren. Since he has near master skills despite being a commoner, the hero asks a question. He asks if Fendel actually wants to become a real Valren knight. If he actually becomes a knight, even the incredibly proud nobles who once humiliated him will have to kneel before him since he already has wealth and power. Fendel asks if the offer is truly serious, and the hero quickly confirms it. He says he can easily take Fendel's entire group and give them all a special order. But the group's name will be the Mutt Squad, since they are like dogs. Fendel is absolutely losing his mind over this insult, so much for calling himself a king. A single pathetic promotion was enough to get him all worked up. He warns the hero not to make an enemy if he wants to pass the 8th floor. The hero retorts that beating him up will make everyone want to join. Born with a silver spoon, Fendel cannot even gauge his opponent's true strength. He has absolutely no idea what it means to live without safety nets. Fendel asks if the hero's powerful family will come after him if he wins the fight. No, he will not even be able to touch him during the battle. The hero calmly readies himself, while Fendel vows to destroy him no matter what happens. He charges straight forward, and the protagonist begins to draw his own weapon. Unsheathing the blade, the hero blocks Fendel's strike with perfect ease. Fendel notices the black iron sword, typical for a Valheim warrior. He assumes the block was pure luck, believing his strength and aura are superior. With higher aura, Fendel strikes again, but the protagonist is ready. He easily deflects the blow, though Fendel still aims to scar his neck. A relentless and terrifying flurry of fast strikes now suddenly rains down upon our hero. The hero unleashes a sharp spinning strike, completely blowing Fendel backward. Fendel finally realizes this is not luck, the boy is a seasoned monster. The hero ignites his blade with blazing fire, proudly showing off his true Valheim heritage. He slashes with the burning steel, but Fendel manages to dodge it. Showing off his own skills, Fendel coats his blade in green lightning. He vows to show everyone exactly why he became the undisputed king of this lawless place. Dashing forward at high speed, the lightning-charged strike collides with the protagonist. The hero blocks the powerful impact easily, using his black iron claw. That sword is visibly heavy, wielding a weapon like that demands serious experience, and everyone wonders how such a young kid can handle it. Our hero knows every trick. In Strike from the Countless Times, he challenged Onyx back before his regression. Now his opponent threatens him, swearing to teach him a painful lesson. He declares he will slice him in half, sword and all, while summoning a terrifying lightning dragon. The girl watching thinks this legendary green lightning will quickly finish off the young Valheim heir, but the hero just takes a calm, deep breath. Preparing his defense, readying his flaming erosion technique, he unleashes a powerful slash. Right before Fendel can strike, the hit connects, leaving his opponent utterly stunned. And in that exact split second, Crash leaps. He triggers a secret heavy kick, launching Fendel straight into the air, smashing him directly in the face. The blow sends him flying in absolute pain. The crowd realizes this young nobleman is actually strong enough to beat Fendel, the self-proclaimed palace king. Crash introduces himself as Crash Valheim. He boldly declares his goal to conquer the 8th floor. To defeat Hakuten, asking who wants to join. Once again, he introduces himself, declaring his ultimate plan to conquer the 8th floor and find strong allies. Anyone who wants to go with him, clear that floor and completely change history is welcome. The shocked crowd can only gossip about the young Valheim descendant's victory, wondering if he could actually take down Hakuten himself. Standing in the crowd, Locke considers joining and watches him closely, remembering how he constantly pushed his limits since childhood and still does today. It makes her realize why she could never break her own limits to reach the legendary master level. Just then, Derek approaches and asks if she is signing up. He admits he has a bad feeling, but notes this is their final chance, wondering why she still hesitates. After all, even though Fendel was beaten by Hakuten and Icarus, he became lazy upon reaching that 8th floor, creating a fake faction called Fendel Road and wasting 5 whole years doing nothing. But Derek knows Locke is different from the rest, because while everyone else stood around after that brutal defeat, she trained hard every single day. She sighs softly, knowing he is right, and tightly grips her sword hilt. Locke vows never to stop, deciding that even if disaster blocks her path, she will keep moving forward. When the next day dawns, Crash waiting begins. He seeks the last light of May's palace, for if Fendel is its darkness, Lacradian is its guiding light. In his past life, she was a master-level expert and a major rival to all challengers. The last time they met before his regression, she had abandoned the sword entirely, quietly selling fruit at the marketplace. Crash knows he cannot let Fendel get away with everything, and revenge is coming. He intends to steal Frendel's unique lightning technique, Lioner, but to do so, he must first trigger Frendel's jealousy, and honestly, he is absolutely determined to fulfill the second condition too, since they will cross paths often. Inside May's palace, copying those skills is just a matter of time. His crow knows his plan to enter the palace, but warns him to gather teammates first. Just as he begins planning his search, a familiar face appears before him. It is Lacradian, the legendary light of the palace, walking right up to him. She asks to join his journey to conquer the 8th floor, and he definitely won't say no. No problem, as long as she is ready to oppose Fendel. Lacradian agrees. She calls them mere cowards beaten by Hakuten. Even after her defeat, she still wants to challenge the 8th floor again. He welcomes her, the legendary light of the palace. She asks how he Knows her name, he simply researched it since they must conquer the eighth floor together. They seal the new alliance with a handshake, 2 days. Later at the entrance of the Maze Palace, Lacradian explains that the ground floor is a facade. The real challenge lies deep underground. The journey to the 8th floor will take almost a month because traps await them on every single level. Luckily, her party will guide them down safely. It is thanks to Lord Crash that Lacradian can challenge the palace again. Derek, the guide, and Fennekelly, the white mage, also join. The mage Chelly is absolutely thrilled to be part of this team since Lacradian trusts them. Crash has no reason to doubt their skills. Both Derek and Chelly are surprised by the nobleman's kindness. Derek takes the lead, promising to guide them through the shortest route while leaving the magic and healing to Chelly. Krim reports that Vendal's faction is already moving fast to compete for the palace's conquest. But Crash just smiles. His rivals are delivering themselves to him. At the palace entrance, Fendel is spotted shouting wildly at his followers. He fiercely demands they conquer the 8th floor at all costs. Crash quietly watches, realizing that some people never change as Fendel acts exactly as he did before. The group now begins their descent down a massive spiral staircase. They spot a strange detail: windows lining the walls underground. Lacradian points toward a heavy wooden door and warns that the first underground floor lies just beyond. Here they will face deadly clockwork rabbits. Crash asks Lacradian to step up and show what she is made of. The moment the door opens, red eyes glow in the darkness. Creepy rabbits leap from the shadows, each clutching a golden watch. One monster stands out with a hideous face and glowing red eyes. The beast splits its face open, revealing a horrifying gaping maw and lets out a sickening screech. Lacradian instantly charges forward, sword drawn. Her movement is incredibly fast. She practically vanishes for a split second. She unleashes a flurry of lethal strikes, tearing through the monsters with ease. She shows a fierce determination to conquer the dungeon this time. Crash watches in complete awe. Not a single movement is wasted. Compared to Fendal, her fighting style is incredibly direct. Stepping into a master's domain is his next major goal, making this the perfect opportunity to witness it with his own eyes. So far, he has boosted his power by stealing skills and using secret elixirs, reaching a high level where he can fight a master. However, true mastery can only be achieved through raw, personal effort. Chasing endless power is meaningless if he cannot even control the basics. His lazy attempts to copy geniuses are completely useless. Lacradian is different. She built her foundation through years of brutal training. She reached the rank of master, and because of that, he has a massive favor to ask. He proposes that once they reach the 8th floor, they train daily using only swords and zero aura to conserve her energy. Naturally, Lacradian is completely surprised by his request. Derek immediately speaks up, calling the reckless idea crazy, but she agrees anyway. As they march forward, Derek grumbles that she accepted this proposal at such a critical moment, but Lacradian gently replies that his eyes were just too convincing. She saw in them a fierce ambition to reach greater heights. Faced with a look like that coming from someone chasing power, she could not say no. The group gathers themselves, choosing to press onward toward the upper floors. Outside, a figure screams out in rage, cursing the name of Valhalla. Someone with a long tail vows to take back whatever rightfully belongs to them. In that very instant, the beast's fury turns on our hero. This warrior claims that the Thunder Star belongs to them, refusing to ever hand it over to Crash. The hero and his party finally arrive on the 6th floor of Mastume Palace. He and Lacradian leap into battle, showing off absolutely flawless synergy. Over a month has passed since they entered the palace, and Lacradian has proven strong enough to clear the floors by herself. Because of this, Derek and the mage Chelly barely even get a chance to fight. Meanwhile, our leading duo Stamina seems completely limitless. They reach the 6th floor easily, energized ever since their joint training sessions started. To Lacradian, Crash shows a constant desire to learn. Since he is missing the basics, our hero decides to steal all of her techniques. The warrior girl is utterly shocked by this declaration, since it is highly taboo for a swordsman to openly steal another's style. Usually a proud fighter would absolutely despise that kind of attitude, but in Crash's look closely at his eyes, not a single trace of hesitation remains. To grow stronger, he is willing to throw his pride away to close the massive gap with Fendel. She realizes That by following his lead, she can push past her own limits too. At that exact moment, Lacridian asks why he desperately chases this kind of overwhelming power. Derek cuts them off, warning that the seventh floor is right ahead. And they have no time to waste. Crash then reveals his true motivation, the total ruin of the world. He wonders if he can stop this dark destiny. With his own hands, Derek scoffingly asks what this brat is saying about world destruction. He laughs it off, claiming that to imagine such things our hero must still have a childish, naive side, but Lacridian knows he is not. Joking, his eyes are dead serious, carrying the absolute terrifying conviction that their world is truly doomed. Inspired by this, she makes up her mind to give everything to support his goal. The growing closeness between Lack and Crash does not escape Derek's watchful eye. He announces they have finally reached the seventh mechanical labyrinth, warning him to prepare. Deadly hidden traps and monsters await, and the shifting walls move on their own, making it vital to stay fully focused to avoid getting lost. Our hero, however, calmly says there is nothing to worry about. After all, Derek is an excellent guide who will lead them to the 8th floor safely. Right at that exact moment, the heavy maze walls begin shifting, threatening to split up their entire party. Lack quickly apologizes to Crash, realizing this is a cowardly scheme by the Fendel faction who knows this palace inside out. Honestly, she was already expecting a trap. Being left behind on this dangerous floor without their guide would be an absolute nightmare. But our hero knows exactly how to handle this. Charlotte wonders what he means, but he soon reveals his secret plan. He will use his skills to escape, but he needs her help. Because of the immense concentration required, she must carry him. She immediately puts him on her back and bolts down the hallway. He shouts to turn right in 500 meters, and she races ahead. At the junction, the black walls suddenly flush crimson, a sign of hope. They are nearing the exit, and his guidance is incredibly sharp. She realizes just how many hidden talents he has been keeping secret. While she sprints, he quickly checks his status from her back. Suddenly, the crow warns of a presence and tells Crash to halt. They hold their breath, and our hero quickly covers her mouth. He whispers for her to suppress her presence as much as possible. A massive explosion echoes behind them, and a strange figure appears. The stranger comments that even an aura sword cannot damage these walls. She easily repairs the broken stone, noting that their structure is endless. It is the terrifying World Corruptor, the armed princess of the Tiger clan. Arthur is shocked to see this violent weapons maniac here. Corruptors are deadly beings born directly from the decay of the world. While some like Velasquez in Crimson are calm, others crave absolute destruction. She is a monster, ranked among the 10 strongest entities on Earth. The crow panics, warning that this maniac is impossible to reason with. Based on past encounters, he insists they must stay away. It is a terrible situation, and they are in serious danger. Without the legendary Thunder Star, he lacks a sword to defeat her. If his blade snaps under his power, he cannot win. He will not be able to unleash his full strength in battle. But they absolutely must stop her from claiming the Thunder Star. That sword can become a divine savior or an instrument of ruin. The Martial God Institute intends to hand it to the Sword Sovereign. If that happens, humanity will fall to the corruptors once and for all. Before the regression, Charlotte used that blade to slay the Sovereign. Previously, Arthur sacrificed her to force that deadly confrontation. But in this current timeline, he refuses to throw her life away. He needs all his allies alive if they are to save the world. His plan is to eliminate them one by one, but she beat them here. Realizing she arrived first, he advises Crash to abandon the sword. He announces they are heading directly to the 8th floor instead. By exploiting the layout of the 8th floor, they can steal it. They will take the Thunder Star without fighting the armed princess. She will not dare oppose them, fearing the wrath of Balrog. Reaching the carriage area, they immediately spot a bizarre sight. Deep underground, the window somehow displays a peaceful surface world. The white-haired boy tells them to move, as Hakutin must be defeated. They are now free to explore the rich treasures of the 8th, 9th, and 10th floors. No one stands in their way now, meaning Fendel's faction can focus solely on their final target. They must defeat Hakutin, whose scattered, divided group stands little chance of surviving this place. Soldier Rick, the vice leader of the Road faction, makes it clear he has no shame about their methods. Calling them cowards means nothing to him, he just wants his leader to succeed. After all, Fendel is a powerhouse who can pull off almost anything entirely on his own. Yet with their combined strength, these challengers believe they can actually break through the ultimate barrier. Together, they might just survive the absolute monster known as Hakyun, leaving Rick completely speechless. Back then, the great Icarus faction was completely crushed, and its legend came to a sudden end. Hakyun ruthlessly annihilated their leader Killeran, leaving nothing behind but his legendary sword. And yet, the burning dream of conquering the Maze Palace refused to die with him. Among the newcomers stepping into the Maze Palace, Hugo steps up, ready to carry that heavy burden. He gladly inherits Killeran's dream, sending the crowd into wild celebration. They celebrate the Fendel Road faction's bright future, while the silent Cradian stares blankly at the wall. Fendel turns around, offering his eager companions some truly inspiring words. Soon they report to leader Fendel that they have finally located where Hakyun is hiding. Fendel warns them that the moment of truth is here, they will slay him with their own hands. Arthur raises his sword, and the group eagerly celebrates their victory ahead of time. But their joy is cut short when a notorious, weapon-obsessed maniac suddenly appears. Her crazed eyes lock directly onto Arthur's sword as an overwhelming obsession consumes her entire being. The three members of the Fendel Road faction freeze instantly, completely paralyzed by her terrifying aura. Every cell in their bodies screams danger, freezing them solid as horror takes over. Even though their brains scream at them to run, the tigress moves, tearing them apart in seconds. She casually licks her lips, muttering to herself that the brief fight was not half bad. Her greedy gaze shifts right back to the blade, wondering what kind of rare treasure she just found. The terrified survivors remain completely paralyzed, unable to take even a single step backward. Fendel tries to shout a warning, but his voice is tight with pure, unadulterated fear. Before the retreat order can fully leave his lips, she strikes, instantly slaughtering his remaining men. He barely manages to bring his sword up to block her devastating, lightning-fast slash. His frame shudders under her monstrous pressure, but the tigress is actually amused. She praises his quick instincts for letting his allies escape first. Her deadly shadow clones are already on the hunt, easily wiping out those she calls trash. No normal blade can stop her clones, and his running comrades are already long dead. Knowing he only has one shot at this, Fendel keeps his perfect guard tightly raised. Suddenly, she's caught completely off guard as a blinding, radiant light erupts from Fendel's body, leaping high into the air. Green lightning coats his black sword, completely blinding the ferocious tigress. Fendel knows that putting everything into this single strike will drain every ounce of his remaining power. He will have nothing left to fight Hakyun later, but there is simply no other choice. If he fails now, he dies, so he unleashes his ultimate Thunder Wolf's pillage. A colossal wolf made of crackling green electricity charges forward, managing to slash her deeply. His eyes widen with hope, believing he has won, but a sudden slash opens on his neck. He can barely register the lethal blow before she figures out the secret of his weapon. The sword's special ability becomes clear as her neck begins to rapidly close up and heal. This technique blinds everyone but him, but her throat regenerates without a single scratch. Everyone nearby loses their senses except the user, while her neck regenerates completely. Did he really underestimate her, believing such a basic attack could actually work? Against the Lady of World Corruption, his neck is severely slashed, leaving him helpless. Every bit of damage she took was forced right back onto him. This absolute reflection defies all logic, and now he has no aura left to fight. With nothing remaining, he desperately offers up his sword to save his comrades. But she cold-heartedly reveals that his friends are already dead as she strikes again. As her blast hits, he bitterly regrets never getting to face Hakyun one last time. He prepares for death as she charges her final blast, but then Lacradian arrives. He rushes in to help, scolding the despairing Sif Indel for forgetting his leader role. The corrupt woman calls them both pathetic, but she suddenly starts writhing in agony. But wait, just in time, Crash Valheim charges in to attack her. Crash tells Sif Indel to fall back before pointing his blade right at the woman. She recognizes him as a direct Valheim descendant and demands his unique sword. She wants the Thunder Star Sword, but Crash notices she looks completely unharmed. Even the flame erosion slash did nothing, leaving her wondering what idiot fights alone. She mocks his solo challenge while Sif Indel retreats, then questions his odd trick. She demands to know how he bypassed her damage reflection as he steps forward. He explains that this fight is unavoidable and Sif Indel cannot be captured. He must collect this power before the entire world is wiped out by destruction. That is the sole reason he stepped in, hoping to use his past memories. He wanted to use his pre-regression knowledge to steer clear of useless combat. But now he firmly warns the armed princess that the Thunder Star belongs to him. Wait, how does he know her name? She froze in shock at hearing Trudelphia. Knowing her name proves that he is also a corruptor, neutralizing her reflection shield. Because he controls corruption, her trick failed, leaving her feeling utterly deceived. She demands his true identity, wondering if he is a victim from her past. Crash tells her to stop meowing like a noisy kitten and readies his blade. He unleashes a blazing attack, spinning forward with his sword of roaring flames. She immediately counters by hurling a barrage of sharp daggers directly at him. He easily dodges every single blade while spreading wild fire across the battlefield. Stunned by his dodging, she swings a heavy axe, but he blocks the impact. With a loud clash, she activates her unique ability, turning her hair blood red. She realizes he is dodging, as if he already knows her entire arsenal. Why is he channeling so much corruption energy, and what is he hiding? Her main goal was to avoid drawing the attention of the martial Emperor Balarak. She really wanted to avoid going all out against such an unpredictable opponent. But something feels terribly off, and her gut tells her to kill him now. Crash realizes the time he bought is quickly running out for his plan. Only one single door remains, the very prize Belokim risked his life to find. Yet Crash got the Thunder Star by luck, thanks to the self-repairing Maze Palace. Destroying the inner palace is nearly impossible, which keeps the secret hidden. Nobody knows the 8th floor is a real-world field, but Crash notices a detail. Unlike the other areas, the carriages burned by Ignis on this floor never regenerate. Instead, the scorched doors just fade away, with the final exit right behind him. Once this carriage collapses, she will be forcefully ejected into a different space. Out in the middle of nowhere, she finally gets it. He was buying time. He burned her carriage while easily dodging her heavy blows. Claws sprout from her hands as her body warps, furious at being tricked. She lunges forward with a deadly kick. The tiger woman flies forward like a whirlwind. Facing the strike, he takes a deep breath. Instantly, she freezes. A strange aura bleeds from him. His corruption has reached a totally different tier. Every instinct screams at her. Flee now, she swears she will never forgive him. At that exact millisecond, he unleashes the second form of flaming erosion. The celestial sword of destruction erupts, surging forward with massive, unstoppable power. It strikes her head-on, violently throwing her straight out of the 8th floor with the sheer force of the blast, launching her incredibly far away. She is thrown from the carriage at high speed. He knows that meeting her again means death. Even so, he risked his life just to secure the rare Thunder Star, closing the door. He shuts the heavy door. He sheathes his blade, letting the wild, crackling flames fade away. He wonders why trouble always finds him. He was incredibly lucky to survive this clash. But the next battle won't be so easy, meaning he absolutely needs to become far stronger. The crow eagerly asks how he managed to defeat that crazy armed princess. He ignores the bird, demanding to know what became of Lacradian instead. The crow simply tells him to go look. Soon, he finds Fendel wounded, demanding to know exactly what went down while he was gone. Fendel got stabbed by a clone, which vanished once the boss fell. He looks down at Fendel, defeated after risking everything to save allies. Shock hits him. Fendel actually saved Lacradian before the regression. He was just a worthless Maze Palace jerk who abused comrades and threw lives away. Fendel was a constant nuisance back then, so he figured nothing had changed, but judging him like this, he realizes he is starting to act just like his old enemies. In fact, judging Fendel so unfairly makes him absolutely no different from Arthur.